And we are live. Sydney Slaughter 2021 list reveal. Here we are. I've got James on my right and Samuel G himself on my left. How are we, guys? Are we excited?
Yep, definitely. Been this building up to this for months and months now. So yeah, super excited to be here. Finally, the list reveal show is here. Everyone's pumped. We've got heaps of guys in the chat. It's going bananas at the moment. So hey everyone, thanks for joining us this evening. There I can see Hayden, I can see Mitch Gleason, Brad B, Michael Thompson. We've got Robert Reimers. How's it going, man? Jason Wood, Christopher Wilson. Also, the big man from Goulburn, shout out to you, brother. We've got, Hayden's in there and Scrubhammer as well. So cool. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And Smorgan, thank you for joining us as well. I think it's one of our first times we've recorded together, I think.
I've jumped on for the Cities of Sigmar recordings with Chris and Simon, but James is our first time together. And to be honest, I'm looking forward just to hanging out with you, mate. I think talk to Chris every day, so it's nice to mix it up.
I'll go then. See ya. I'll just sit here with my tea.
Oh, well, I got my hot chocolate, so all good.
Ready for that cold snap.
Yeah. Should we just dive straight into this? So share up the screen. Okay.
Do it now.
All right, give me a sec. And here we go. Share. Hopefully that is working well for everyone.
Looking good to me.
Awesome.
All right. Chaos up first. Let's go. Beast of Chaos. Josh Foster, the Joshter himself.
Mm-hmm.
The first of the D3 Mortal Wounds boys. We've got a lot of them coming. I think there's probably 10 of them or so. Off the top of my head. So, I mean, it's Beast of Chaos. So we're probably not going to be saying Josh is going to take out the event. Sorry, Josh. But yeah, it's a lot of bodies, lots of units as well in that Desolating Beast herd. So nice low drop. Couple of artifacts in there, but I probably don't have any amazing insights, to be honest, to share for this. I don't know if you guys have got any special thoughts on this other than, yeah, it's a Beast of Chaos list, lots of bodies, but they aren't that great.
Yeah, I think it's super quick. I mean, the Great Braze obviously giving the extra movement, and then there's a whole heap of deep strike there, and the Zangor on disc are really fast. So lots of chaff, the ability to generate some more bodies through the faction terrain, and then obviously, taking it's a bit weird taking that's a Slanesh battalion, right? Desolating. And then some Zench stuff. So it's a bit of an unholy sort of combination, but I think it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, beasts are super cool. I just don't know if they're super competitive, but it's cool that Josh is bringing them. And yeah, I look forward to seeing them on the table. And yeah, getting those Ungor Raiders come in, pop off some little heroes, maybe 20, 40 shots, pew pew.
Yep, he's got his Zangor Enlightened as well, and I heard they were pretty good too.
Yeah, they're pretty decent. Even in just threes, they can pack a punch. So
sweet.
All right.
Blades of Corn. Here we go.
James Landis, Company of Dice dude. He's come to Slaughter before. So yeah, he's bringing generic Gore Pilgrims. So yeah, we've got the standard kind of Bloodsecrator Slaughter Priests. And then he's got the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, which I think is super nice in Khorne as well, especially in Gore-Tide. Because he's got the Hew the Foe and Gore Cleaver. So he's going to be doing mortal wounds on 6s to wound from the Gore Cleaver. And Hew the Foe, I think, is going to let him... Is that the extra damage as well? So it puts all his weapons at +1 damage. So I think he's damage 3 and damage D3 +1 on all his weapons. He can heal when he kills stuff. He'll be getting extra attacks. Obviously from the Bloodsecrator if he's in range. He's got Wrathmongers as well for potentially extra attacks. War Shrine for re-rolling hits and wounds, I'd imagine.
So War Shrine's amazing in Khorne, isn't it? Because it adds that extra level of utility, and particularly when the Karkadrak and the Marauders are already really good war scrolls, being able to take them in lots of different directions is super useful.
Yeah. And those knights if he gets again the buffs on them, they can actually put out a decent amount of work for 5 models, and then he's got the Hex Gorgeous Skulls to give him some swingy but really potentially good magic defense, and the Wrath Axe as well to pop down some mortals, and 3 Slaughter Priests. I mean, 100 points for a Slaughter Priest is money. They're so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's solid. Yeah, it's cool.
It's interesting because this is 2 lists now that are both MSU, and I would have thought, I haven't had a chance to look at the list yet, so I don't know if this is a trend or just the 2 of them, but I would have thought that this pack privileges staying power. Like there's two scenarios where there's only 3 objectives, and then there's 2 scenarios where there's only 4 objectives. So I think it's a pack where, you know, big tanky units are actually really good, and neither of the first 2 armies have them. So maybe people are taking more of an MSU approach with the pack.
Yeah, all these 2, yeah.
This is it. From this one on, they're all like low drop, high body, concentrated in just a couple of units.
Yeah. I found it surprising, to be honest, there was only 1 Khorne list. Like Khorne's usually pretty popular. There's only 1 list. So yeah, we'll move on to the Disciples of Zinc. So we've got Ash. He's in the chat. He's up first. He's got his Guild of Summoners list to get those super cheap Lords of Change. I think Ash he'll be definitely looking to try and get a Lord of Change on the table in his first turn if he can, and then hopefully get the second one down in his second turn, which is not unheard of for Guild of Summoners with all the casting. It's pretty insane. Yeah, there he is. Who's this chump? So yeah, I think just the fact that you can get in 2 turns 2 free Lords of Change in Zinc, you should not. It's not something to be sniffed at, especially as a free full health Lord of Change plonks down where someone wasn't expecting him straight into Infernal Gateway range, pops those 9 dice on 3 ups. Just, yeah, they can do work. And also just, yeah, Ash has played Zinc for years now, and he's super competent with the list, playing those 3 Enlightened, 3 Skyfires. It doesn't seem like a big commitment, but he always makes them do a lot of work. And that Thaumaturge as well has always gone in and done loads of damage. And he's still got the pinks. So I mean, he's sitting at 109 wounds, not counting the additional 40 in the pinks. So actually, for a Zinch list, it's pretty high in starting wounds as well. So yeah, and Ash is a great player. Like I'll be expecting him to do pretty well.
This is the first podium list we've seen. So we're going to do great guy, great list about 15 times. This is definitely the first one.
Only
this
15.
This isn't even stealth filth. This is just straight filth. Like the capacity to regenerate the destiny dice. So there's 2 different mechanics that regenerate destiny dice in this build. The lack of need for command points because you've got the immune to battle shock, and then obviously they get the agendas and all the stuff that's already cooked into Zench. And what is it? The first Lord of Change is only 9 summoning points, and the second one's only 18. So in this meta, I think this is a really strong list, and I think into the pack it's really good as well. I'm interested that he didn't take a super cheap wizard, because I think that Rend 1 spell would have been really useful for this list, but nonetheless, I really like the build.
Yeah, I think he's still got 10, potentially 11, 12 maybe cast potentials a turn with this list as well. So like I say, if he'll be aiming just with his own spells to be getting 2 Lords of Change out in the first 2 turns. And then if he plays against someone that's got loads of magic, he's laughing. So yeah, I think it's really cool. And like you say, the Destiny dice refilling mechanic makes the army super strong. Just being, everyone knows how strong Destiny dice are, and the ability to get more back whenever he's using them, he can get them back on like 2 ups. With the, who is it? The Magister on disc? I think he can get them back, and then obviously Glimpse the Future. He can just, if he casts that spell, he can just get another one. So yeah, I think it's going to be really good.
Cool. Ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Oh God.
Why are you godding? It's just a change host with 12 flamers and 2 exalteds. And
Exactly. The exalteds are so good.
yeah, they're very good. James, what are your thoughts on this list as a top meta player?
Look, oh shivers, sorry. Look, it looks pretty scary to me. Like if I saw 10, 10 brimstone horrors across the board, I'd be sweating, like, so, no, I don't know, like what does it do? Like what can it achieve? Like it looks like it's low on bodies to me, but I guess there's lots of summoning in there.
This is how you know Goulburn's a sleepy little town, isn't it? When James is looking at a 12 flamer double exalted change host, going, "What does it do?" it teleports and burns the shit out of people. To be blunt, it's pretty strong, and he's still got bodies and resilience in that wall of pinks, which is 50 wounds. It's super low drop. It's a 2 drop because he's gone for the Fate Master build, which I actually think is the optimal choice over the 1 drop, because it gives you the full rerolls to hit around him. Is it reels to hit or reels to wound? I forget. But I think the army can pretty much be 2s and 2s, rerolling to hit and wound on those flamers. D3 damage on the flamers, always rend because it's in Eternal Conflagration. The exalted flamers are all rend 2, and then just for some added poke from that Lord of Change, he's got the spell portal, so he can pop through. He can pop through some probably average of 6 mortal wounds from 37 odd inches away. It's a strong list. He's got brims just to be annoying, create shields. We've seen the change host do well and take out multiple tournaments, so I'll be expecting this to do well.
Yeah, not much to add. Super strong.
Dave Hurley coming up from Canberra, another Zinc. So we've got the host Arcanum. So Archaon, Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Kairos, the Blue Scribes. Got a couple of units of Screamers, Kyric Acolytes, and some endless spells there. So, yeah.
I think what's really cool about this one is we've got 3 Zinc lists so far, and all 3 of them have been different sub-factions. So we've kind of had the cheap Lord of Change summoning, we've had the Flamer Conflag, and now we've got the new hotness, which is the Archaon and Kairos hosts Arcanum. So the triple free auto unbinds through the game, I think is super good. Having an auto unbind on 135 is really, really nice. Archaon in Zinc is always tasty. If you can roll 2 6s in your Destiny dice pool at your opponent, and they've got a big monster or something nasty sitting on the table, Archaon is going to get basically run of the land where he wants to go, because you don't want to put a monster anywhere near him knowing he can just take it off. And then he's got Kairos as well to kind of essentially give him another 6 in his Destiny dice if he needs it, or all of the other shenanigans that Kairos can kind of guarantee him with that dice change. Blue Scribes helping him get spells up as well. Instead of trying to roll 9s, he can get them off on 2 pluses, just pushing through some of those spells. I think basically once Archaon casts the Demon Rift, if the Blue Scribes are learning it, it's a really nice way of pumping out Demon Rift on a 2-up later on in the game. And yeah, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wizards, while the Kyrics are at 9 or more. So that Darkfire Demon Rift can get powered up, plus the spell portal, plus the Geminids. He could just wipe magic heavy armies or non-magic heavy armies.
How have you ruled it for the event? Does it trigger after it goes through the portal or before?
I would say it goes after.
Okay.
Just because
it varies from one event to the next. Yeah.
I'd just say it finishes its move once you stop moving the model. Because if you go, it's finished, but now I'm going to move it through the portal, and then it's finished.
That makes the list even stronger. I think some people are ruling it the other way as a nerf, like it's a TO nerf. And that spell is phenomenal. And then this build, This build is one of the ones where if you know what you're doing, it's one of the strongest lists in the game. And if you make mistakes, it's easy to punish because there's so few bodies and it's so dependent on the synergy. So as you remove the synergies, it becomes significantly weaker pretty quickly. So I've got two mates that are sort of learning this army at the moment. And they're both finding like just a little mistake here or there costs them really big.
Yeah. Oh, Joel's just pointed out in the chat, Blue Scribes can't cast Demon Rift on a 2-up. Because they need the Slaves of Darkness keyword to cast it, apparently. So that's my mistake.
Yep.
Just thinking
that's right.
They learn it and they cast it. Thanks, Joel. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think it's got the power to win big. But yeah, if you know what pieces to take out, it is going to struggle because it is low on bodies. It doesn't have that kind of backup in the pinks.
Cool. Was it Joel G that gave that info?
Yeah.
We should give him a quick shout out because he's done a really cool Anvils video on Mr. Meth's channel. So Mephisto, definitely worth going and having a look at that one after the list review show.
Yeah, I saw that's been posted. I've been pretty hectic with work recently, so I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but I definitely
it's really
want to
good.
see it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, shall we move on to the Hedonites of Slaanesh?
So we go, Kieran Askins, Lord of Ruins. So the Celestian host, is that how you pronounce it? Celestian host. Another Archaon with a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Blissbarb Archers, Chaos Warriors, and 3 Soul Grinders. How the Blissbarb Archers go? They're some of the newer models, aren't they?
They are. I think they're a bit overcosted, but for Slaanesh and the way that Depravity works now, they're there to just help you pling off hopefully 1 wound or more into multiple units if you want to split your fire, just to try and generate that extra Depravity. Obviously, Celestian Host is a White Dwarf thing, which it has been FAQ'd since the new book, so that it isn't double Depravity. But if they're within, actually, I don't even know if it will come into play in this because I think Celeste has to be on the table for it to work, but it basically only gives 1 extra depravity if any gets generated, I think, while people are within range of him, of them. So yeah, I think it's not going to be doubling depravity anyway, which is good. But yeah, he's got those 3 soul grinders in that Demon Steel contingent, and they all get extra attacks or +1 to hit, I think. In that battalion, so
it's so bad. Slaanesh is awful. I hope he has a really fun weekend, and I hope all his games are good fun. But oh my god, Blissbarb's at 160. It's wild that they're 160 points.
Yeah, it is crazy. They are a bit overcosted, but Kieran's played the triple soul grinder before. He played them at CanCon last year, I think, when Randy knocked one off the table when he did his walkthrough. That was in the background of the video. Sorry, Kieran. But Kieran came to Slaughter last time we ran it in 2019 and was playing for the win, I think, in the final game against Matt Campbell. So yeah, he's awesome. He's a super competent player, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. And he's got Archaon. You can't ignore Archaon.
Cool. Who's up next? Steve Kassem. So another Pretenders host, this time with the Mask, the Contorted Epitome, Keeper of Secrets, Infernal Enraptress, Herald of Slaanesh, a couple of those, and 3x10 Demonettes and 9 Fiends. Mesmerizing Mirror, Purple Sun, and Dreadful Visage.
Yeah, the 9 Fiends is nice to see. Especially as it's kind of a pre-AOS 3, but if modifiers are being capped at -1,
then just having that static
and
is
no
so
more,
nice.
just having the 9 block without needing to take like Orgots, for example, I think might happen because as soon as you take any Fiends and him, it kind of is a little bit wasteful. So it'll be cool to see how 9 Fiends go. I think the Mirror is a great endless spell. Super swingy, but it's the chance of it, and even just the forcing of movement. If people don't want to take mortal wounds, you can just put it somewhere like behind them if they want to come towards you, and you know that you can just ping off mortal wounds and stuff. Like you can just give yourself situations where you basically waste a character or something that's only got 1, maybe 2 wounds left, and they need it to stay alive, but they need it to go forward onto an objective, and it has to go forward. It basically could just die. So I think the mirror's cool. And Purple Sun I like as well. Just it can just deal with certain things like eels. I know it's not super likely, but if you come up with Ishlane and stuff like that, I think anything that just gives you the chance to auto kill models, Hearthguard Berserkers, for example, anything that's just got good tanky saves, it just deals with that. So it's quite nice. And obviously it's Slanesh, so he's got loads of heroes as you'd expect. Very minimum battle line, and low bodies is the only thing I'd worry a bit about. But it's cool. I'll be looking to see some cool stuff from the Nine Fiends.
Yeah, sweet.
Oh, Legion of Chaos Ascendant. This excites me. I haven't seen this list yet, but I'm super. I think this is like a really, really strong sub faction.
So we got Tyson Gleason coming up from Bendigo, Legion of the First Prince. So we got Be'lakor, Kairos, Blue Scribes, and Al Horik
Come on, James. I was
Hexcrow.
waiting for the perfect pronunciation of that.
Al Horik Zanar Hexcrow. So he's and we've got Zorzang. Zorzang. Hopefully I got that right for you, Tice. So that's his anvil hero. So what we got is a Demon of Zinc with an improvised weapon, mage, the raise the dead spell on a beast that can fly, extra armor, ethereal, good old ethereal, superior vitality, so it's got some extra wounds in there. Does it on a 2-up, does D3 mortal wounds on the charge, so a big beastie on the table, and another mage down there as well to make up that 50 points. So I'm looking forward to seeing the conversions for all these heroes. Hey, it's gonna be cool.
That guy is amazing. So he's on a 3-up save ethereal, reroll saves in combat, and gives up a 5-up after save to units around him. So if you think about like a pink horror, there's 50 wounds there, right? And typically the pinks just have a 6-up after save, but this would give the after save to the blues and brims, and the Ruinous Aura bumps it up from being a 6-up to a 5-up. So that makes it incredibly difficult to grind through them. And then you've got Be'lakor, who's already ethereal as well. So he's got 2 ethereal monsters. Then you've got Kairos, who can manipulate dice. Like, it's going to be so hard to get through those characters. And then every turn, if he rolls a 10 or more on 3 dice, he's going to be able to bring on 5 horrors, who then will subsequently split as well. So although the starting army is quite small, you could see this one doing some really, really nice sort of summoning across the course of a game, and just having unkillable characters that can pin you in and tank. I honestly like this list is so strong. Like, I've been looking at First Prince a lot for like CanCon next year, and I'm so happy someone's bringing it, so I get to see how it actually plays on the table and how it does in a real event.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit pinch of salt with obviously how any of these lists play, given anvils, I think, and all that tech is built into an anvils guy, and also AOS 3. But it's pretty cool, and also don't forget the raise dead spell on that hero means he can grow that he can grow those pinks back without needing to take the life swarm or anything like that.
Joel Graham says that he wrote this list for Tyson, and if he wins, that he claims the victory still. Cool. Maggot King of Nurgle. Beth Bigwood coming back down from Young with her dad Andrew. So good to see you guys coming back again this year. So Beth took out she was very close to getting the wooden spoon last year, so I wonder if she's going for that esteemed prize again this year.
I thought she did get it. I can't remember now.
I think she got pipped by someone. But anyway, I could be wrong. But it's a couple of years ago now. But so we got the Celebrity Bilepiper, Herald of Nurgle, Spoilpox Scrivener, got a Great Unclean One, Poxbringer, and we've got Covid Thy Infector.
My favorite Anvil's hero name of the event. Probably not Smorgan's favorite.
I was going to say that is way too soon. That is, cut me in half.
It's quite fresh. Oh, jeez. So what do we got? So COVID's we've got a flail, we've got a handbow, lead the attack, regenerating, extra armor, ferocity. What else have we got there?
Yeah, she's basically gone for all the +1 attack, +1 a wound, +1 a hit, +1 damage, +1 rend, everything on that flail. The flail doesn't have an amazing profile to start with, but it's just, I think, adding it for a cool hero with, some extra armor and regeneration, and with that command ability to give +1 to hit for a unit as well. It's quite cool. She hasn't kind of gone into the, I guess, super... I'm not going to say negative play experience, but the super kind of plague bearer blocks that can be -4 to hit in shooting and -2 in combat, reroll 6s, doing mortal wounds with extra attacks, kind of the optimal build where you can get Nurgle at the moment. And she's got Demon Pox Riders of Nurgle. Like, I think I've seen them in real life once, maybe. So I'm quite looking forward to
and
seeing them on the table.
The beast of Nurgle as well. I think it's going to be just a lot of fun. I think Beth's come down for the fun and the lulz, so it's going to be good to see how it all pans out and see how she's painted her army. So looking forward to it. All right, Charles Black. We've got a Nurgle allegiance with the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Festus, Harbinger of Decay, Dark Oath Chieftain, Marauders for days, Chaos Knights, some spawns, and Untamed Beasts. So is this the one that he can recycle them onto the board? The Untamed Beasts?
No. Okay. They just give you a pre-game move, which helps him screen out stuff like flamers if he comes up against a change host, stuff like that, for example, for very little cost. And he's got all those Slaves to Darkness units obviously wrapped up in that Plague Touched, which is super nice to lower his drops. All those Marauders are really, really good. Put Blades of Putrefaction on Marauders and they become horrific. The auto charging, essentially, of how far is it they charge? 9 on a 2, or no, 9 on a 3.
No, 9 on a 2 because they get +1 to their charge. So they're particularly with run and charge. And then the wheel can give them additional movement as well. And they're only on 25 mil bases. They can get wherever they need to be. This is the sort of list that I was anticipating would be a little bit more prevalent in the event, given the scenarios you've chosen.
And with the War Shrine buff as well, rerolling hits and wounds.
Yep.
Get the Wither Stave in there to make them more resilient by making your opponent have to reroll 6s. Yeah, even just Knights as well. Like, I think it's good. He's got a bunch of command points up his sleeve as well if he needs to just pass a battle shock early or auto run a 6, etc. I think it's a strong list. He's got loads of bodies. Everyone knows how good Marauders are for that super long range charging ability and just to get bodies where they need to be. And I think Nurgle's in a really good spot at the moment.
And he's got the fight on removal command ability, hasn't he? That's the Chieftain. He's a cheeky little piece of tech, particularly if you've got a spell like Blades Up, where once you kill them, they can pile in and fight, which is amazing. And I think it's something that who was it? Pat Nevin, when the Slaves book first came out, was pairing with Khorne, and he ended up winning SAGT by using that trick. So look out for Charles doing that as well.
Yeah, nice. I didn't know that. So that's
it's really good tech.
Super strong. Yeah.
Yep.
But Jordan's coming back again this year with his Nurgle. So Bubonicus Boilbite. That's his Anvil's hero. Harbinger, Lord of Blights, Sloppy Piper, Lord of Afflictions, Plague Bearers, Blight Kings, Blight Cyst, extra CP. So
163 wounds just as a starting point. And he does have the Lord of Blights with a block of 30 Plague Bearers and a Harbinger. So those Plague Bearers can be -4 to hit in shooting, -2 in combat. He's got a Sloppity Piper in the starting list. Obviously, once he starts to get trees down, potentially he'll be able to summon on a spoil box if he wants it. So all those Plague Bearers can get the buffs as they need them. They can go on the defensive and just prevent pile-ins, or they can get the extra attacks. They can get the mortals on 6s. The Rust Fang in there on the Lord of Afflictions is nice because he's he's reasonably fast and reasonably tanky to be able to go in and just start combat, reduce saves to help those Blight Kings get through. And obviously Blight Sis, they've got a Pip of Rend, so once he starts putting Rustfang into people, those Blight Kings, all their attacks will start chewing through units and doing loads of work, all while being pretty resilient as well. So I think this is a strong list, and Jordan's done pretty well in events in the past as well.
And beautifully painted too. Guarantee. Okay, Skaven Tide.
Smorgan, I know you're excited for Skaven at the moment with your night runners.
I'm so devastated that you guys included total commitment in the pack, because if there wasn't total commitment, I was definitely going to be running Clan Eshin. But I'm happy to see what these guys have cooked up. I'm sure it won't be as sneaky as Clan Eshin, but I'm sure they'll still be good.
Well, yeah, we've got Shem O'Brien, who's very much gone into the Scryer side of Skaven, with the Arch Warlock, with the Overseer of Destruction for reroll ones to hit on weapon teams within range, and the Esoteric Warp Resonator for a free Warpstone Spark each turn from him. And then obviously the two Bombardiers as well, all just having the more warp power for some redundancy there. He's got minimum battle line in the Clan Rats, just so that he can then take more weapons of craziness, I guess, really. So he's got 3 Rattling Guns that he can use, that Overseer of Destruction, and he can spend Sparks on. And if Rattling Guns go off when they're all damaged too, for how cheap they are, they can put out a lot of hurt. They'll probably blow themselves up, but so be it. So be it. Yes. That's Skaven to a T. He's got two Doom Wheels as well. He can charge up and send in. And then he's just got 2 5s of Acolytes, and then 2 Cannons he can sit, and he's got the Bombardiers that can sit with them. He can double power them up and potentially just spit out mortal wounds from range as well. And he's still got a lot of wounds and a lot of bodies, a lot of units.
This looks like a lot of fun. I would love playing it. I'd love lining up against an army like this. I just know I'd be in for a good time. All right. Steve Gibb not with us this weekend.
No, unfortunately, Steve's had to pull out last minute.
Yeah. Slave to Darkness. Jason Wood.
This is really interesting. So Despoilers is another army that got a passive buff, I think, through the Be'lakor book, because you get to take big Be'lakor now. So who's he taken as the general? Okay, Be'lakor. So he doesn't have the pre-game moves, but he does get a 5-up after save, and he can turn terrain into pitch black, which is obviously really strong in this meta, because it means you can't draw a line of sight, and it doesn't have the usual provisions about it excluding flyers. So things like the Manticore and Be'lakor can actually protect themselves. So he's gone with Be'lakor, a Chaos Lord, a Sorcerer Lord, and then the Manticore Lord. So an interesting combination there of characters. Typically, you just load up on the Sorcerer Lords to get your buffs in, and then once you got some Knights, some Warriors, that's a big unit. 20 Chaos Warriors is a pretty significant block. I mean, at that size, they're automatically re-rolling saves. They've got a 5-up save against mortals. As I said, there's going to be pitch black terrain as well, so you should be able to protect them pretty well. And then it's wrapped up in the Godwrath Warband. Is that the one where the War Shrine spits out mortal wounds?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen anyone play that in this book. I used to see it in the old days when you just roll a number of dice for the units on the board, but I'm not sure how that sort of goes in the current meta. Do you know what it does, Chris?
Yeah, I don't think it's that great. I think essentially you roll a number of dice to equal to units within range of the War Shrine, and on 6s it can do like D3 mortal wounds, but you can only do 1 War Shrine in it, and it's only on 6s, so it's not super common, but it might spit out a few mortal wounds at range. I think the good thing about it is I don't really think there's like targeting restrictions in terms of what it can hit. I think it's just units within 18, which sometimes can be super helpful for just pinging off a hero that's like trying to hide behind a wall or something. Anything that doesn't have targeting restrictions I do like, but it may have just been to kind of lower drops and take stuff that he wanted to take anyway. I think it's interesting that he specifically picked Mark of Slaanesh on the Chaos Lord on Manticore. I don't know if there's some hidden spicy
Just-
tech I'm probably missing there. But
The exploding sixes and having, multiple melee weapons maybe, because he's taken the flail and lance rather than the shield or the dagger fist or whatever the other option is.
yeah. But yeah, as you said, 20 Chaos Warriors is really nice. War Shrine buff on them can be re-rolling hits and wounds, and they're already re-rolling saves. With that 5-up, Ash, I think, said earlier, like the pack is going to benefit units that can take the middle of the board and then stay there. So yeah, turning terrain to can't see me and plonking 20 Chaos Warriors down is going to be pretty good to get through. And Ash, I think I just saw in the comments, no, we're not using Broken Realms Kragnos because it came out after list submission. So you can't hide weapons teams in the Clan Rats, unfortunately.
So moving on to Rob Reimers from Clan Filth with Slave to Darkness. So he's got a Arcane the Ever-Chosen, Chaos Sword and Karkadrak. So he's got a really cool conversion he's done for his Chaos Lord. And with 10 Chaos Knights, Warriors, and Varangard. What does this do?
So 6th Circle, Host of the Ever-Chosen means those Varangard get +1 damage on the charge. But he's obviously only got the 3 of them. Interesting that he's gone for that Legion, like the Host of the Ever-Chosen, gone for the 6th Circle where the Varangard get the extra plus damage, but then he's taken a block of 10 Knights instead of like another 3 Varangard. And given the buffs that Varangard get from Archaon being on the table, and he's taken Archaon, it's a little bit surprising to see that. But then the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak obviously buffs the Knights. So that's quite interesting. I think that pick. I think the Gravesand Brooch
Reroll ones?
lets him reroll ones to save.
Yeah. Yep.
And then obviously it's all Mark Korn, so Archaon Zora will be going off, which is the the +1 to wound while you're within 18 of Archaon, because he's the general. It's pretty nice. So I think it'll make those Knights wound on 2s, and the Varangard will be like 2s and 2s. They can
rerolling ones from the Khorne general as well, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, they can naturally go twice once per game, so it's cool.
Nice. And Rob's been with us from the very beginning. I think he's come to every slaughter.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think this is a cool list in that he's got, like you say, there's not loads and loads and loads of objectives in the mission pack, and he's got the 2 10s of warriors that are slower that can kind of sit on his objectives, and then he's got Archaon that he can send off, and then 10 Knights and the Karkadrak and the Varangard. Like everything else is mounted, so like reasonably fast to kind of just sit warriors on his and then go forward and put pressure on his opponents.
Yeah, I still think it's probably got too few bodies, but it's a really cool list. And if it gets you, the damage output is pretty significant. But I would have liked to, because Varangard are a battle line in this, aren't they? So I would have liked to see, 10 Chaos Warriors turn into 2 units of Cultists. I think that probably would give you double the amount of bodies, and you can do better screening and that sort of stuff. But nonetheless, I like this list.
Yeah, nice. Ooh, Into Death. Something I might actually be able to value add to. All right. Oh, Sam Morgan.
Sam Morgan.
Do you want to tell us what's this list?
Yeah, I'll talk you through it. So I'm devastated because my plan all along had been to take 40 more tech and the bridge, and then not the bridge, the boat, and then move them around with the boat and give them +1 attack with the Vampire Lord, and then +1 attack with a Liege, and then have them ethereal from Neffy. And yeah, that was gonna be the 3-up or 4-up ethereal with rerolls, and +2 attacks and an extra pip of rend from the Apotheosis hero. And then Chris said that you guys were using,
and then they need the Soulblight Gravelord's keyword.
So I lost a lot of my generic death buff. So instead, I've just taken a list using the models that came out in that recent battalion box. So I've got the Liege Cavalos, who can teleport around with the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, and he's a wizard in this list, and that's to enable him to cast the Bone Tithe Shrieker. He's supported from from OBR by 15 Death Riders and 2 Crawlers. The opportunity to take Crawlers and give them rend through the Anvil's hero was it's too good to refuse. So that's one chunk of the army, and then the other chunk is a Guardian of Souls who's got the Blade of Dark Summon, so he can bring on 2d6 wounds worth of summonable death, which that's opened up quite a bit with the new book. I think now that there's things like zombies are quite viable as a choice for the Blade of Dark Summons, whereas previously they weren't. Then 2 units of 40 Chain Rasps, and they're in the Chain Guard. So it's relatively low drop, and everything in isolation in this list is good. And it is less dependent on synergies than the other death lists that I've been playing. But I'm hopeful with as I've mentioned a few times, fewer objectives on the board, that big tanky units will let me establish a lead early, and hopefully the Crawlers can kill some support characters and sort of stick around. So we'll have to wait and see. It remains to be seen whether I'll be able to attend. But if I can, I think this is a pretty strong list.
Yeah, I think
you've got your Chain Guard. Oh, sorry, go Chris.
No, you go.
I was just going to comment on the Chain Guard. So that's the one when you're returning an extra D6 models.
Yeah.
When you cast, when you regenerate. So you got some more there. So that's good. Good reliable build. I like it. I've always loved how you've gone for Grand Alliance Death armies. I think it's so cool.
I think it's probably got about
really
3 weeks left.
I know.
So enjoy it for a couple more weeks. But I'm at a point now where I've got 2k of each of the sub factions, so I can quite easily pivot.
And who's Simonis Hollow? What's his story?
That's actually a placeholder. I was like, Smorgan, you need to give me a name for that character. Don't just call it a death mage. And then because Simon can't come, I was like, I'm just going to plug this in as a joke, like a joke to him. But what's his actual name now, Smorgan? You've sent in the updated list.
Herbert Adams, which is the brand of pies that we just bought. So,
so yeah, that is actually Herbert Adams. But yeah, and I was going to say, I think when I said, oh, you should take 80 Chain Rasps in a Chain Guard to sit in front of those Crawlers, I was probably joking, because that's going to be gross. And then having 15 Death Riders backed up by a Liege is going to be pretty
yeah, because I didn't realize how good their horses are. Like, everyone, the running joke for all steeds in Warhammer is the horses do the damage. It actually looks like on the Death Riders that's true. They've got a better combat profile. So giving them an extra pip of rend, giving them a pip of rend is going to be awesome.
More tech swords wound on 4s, but a horse wounds you on 3s, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Should we ready to move on?
Just very, very quickly, I like talking about myself a lot. I got a custom character done for this event as well. So my character's got the mortally wounded branding on it, which it may never see the light of day, but if it does, I'm really happy with how it came up. Obviously from a commission painter, not myself.
That's on the cloak, was it?
On the cloak.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Cool. All right. Flesh Eaters. Oh. Mitch Gleason. Blister Skin, Abhorrent Arch Regent, Ghoul King and Terrorgeist, Courtier, Flayers, Ghouls, Horrors, Royal Mordants. Is this the Nuclear Vargolf?
No.
Not quite?
No, he's not built this for Nuclear Vargolf. He's not taken the Decanter artifact on the Vargolf, and Blister Skin is a little bit less nuclear than either Gristlegore or Hollowmorn. So this, I think he's taken the battalion just because the 6 Flayers are still great. Anything that you can double move when it's a hero phase move is amazing for playing the game, playing objectives. Feck being able to go twice is great. He's got a block of 30 ghouls, which normally obviously only movement 6. But if you're double moving them, it can help him just chuck bodies up the board where he needs them. He's still got a Terrorgeist flying around that's giving it's -1 to hit against shooting, and everything hollow in 6 of it is also. So his foot heroes will be able to kind of have -2 to hit against shooting with Lookout Sir and that. Plus the Terrorgeist gets the -1. Obviously he's got Gruesome Bite, so if you pop some 60s on those to hit rolls, he's going to be doing flat mortals. Feck's been around for a while. If it's allowed to do what it wants to do, it's still great and can chew through armies, no worries. And he's got the extra command points up his sleeve. So if he comes up against shooting, he's not going to like it. But Blister Skin's got the teleport as well, so he can teleport that Terrorgeist around all the Vargolf, all the Flayers. So yeah, and Spectral Host, so he's got run and charge for stuff that flies, or he can make it fly. So yeah, and he can get extra CP through the Vargolf while it's alive as well on 4-ups.
Sweet. Nathan Lee, Hollowmorn.
So now this does look like a nuclear Vargolf because he's gone
Hollowmorn. There's one here somewhere.
He's made the Vargolf the general, and he's got the decanter. So that is a nuclear Vargolf. And then he's gone for a 400-point Anvil's beastie as well as another threat. To kind of say, look over there. And he's still got 2 blocks of 6 Flayers in the list as well, which is real nice. The extra CP. I think this has got potential.
This is strong. I really like this one.
Yeah.
Like Vanithrax, the blind, like it.
Yeah, so what have we got? He's obviously a Ghoul King on Gargantuan Beast that can fly. His Maw has got +1 to hit and +1 attack, so that's the flat 4 damage Maw. So he's going to be starting with 3 attacks on that, with +1 to hit. So it's going to be hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. Because it's in Hollowmorn. I'm trying to think. I don't think the abhorrent's not a Courtier, so it's not going to get the reroll 1s to wound on the charge, but it's still going to be pretty beastie. That insane brilliance, spend a CP on a 5-up, get another CP is going to be really nice. In fact, to have an old brooch, basically, if he double piles in. He's got the great axe as well, so he's kind of gone for some buffs on the dude on top as well as the actual monster himself. And then he's got the extra armor, so it's sitting there on a 4-up save as well, for 400 points. So it's kind of filling in the role of a Terrorgeist or Zombie Dragon, I guess, but with some synergy for the army around getting CP back. And I think the Maw will be a bit more consistent than a Terrorgeist or Zombie Dragon, potentially. But yeah, he's got a decent amount of units. The double 6 of Flayers is nice, and I know what a nuclear Vargolf can do on the table. So I think this is a good list. I like it.
Yeah, and again, looking forward to seeing the conversion for Vanithrax, the blind. Moving on to another Blister Skin. So 2 Archregents and a Vargolf Courtier.
Yeah, so this one
again.
Yeah, this one's a bit nuclear because he has got the decanter on the Vargolf in a Royal Mordants. It's funny how you weren't seeing that battalion a lot, and now every single FEC list is built around the Royal Mordants. Yeah. Because I think just that double move is so good. He's gone for the full block of 9 Flayers, which I really like. He's still got a 6 of Horrors and 30 Ghouls. So he's got a decent amount of bodies. Don't forget as well, double Archregent means double summoning. So he can put potentially 2 more Vargolfs on the table for topping up those Flayers. It's good as well. Like I think FEC, like if they're allowed to do what they want to do, they can put out a hell of a lot of hurt. 9 Flayers with a Vargolf with decanter in Mordants is strong. As long as you can screen off shooting, you can still play a game. So yeah, I could expect good things from this. I don't know about
all of the FEC lists are just so matchup dependent, aren't they? I personally prefer Blister Skin from a play perspective because it gives you more opportunities to use the movement stuff, whether that's the teleport or just the additional speed. And I like leaning into Flayers, making the Flayers a 9 block. Chris, I don't know when we played whether you were running a 9 or a 12 block, but it gets to a point where 9. It gets to a point where you get them down to 2 or 3, and then next thing you know, they're right back up there at 9 and chewing through your lines. So I think this is a really cool list, but I just worry that they'll cop someone that's got decent screening and shooting, and they won't be able to get through the screens before the shooting takes them off.
Yeah. Or new daughters with Marathi bow snakes are a real issue, because Shadow Queen can just she doesn't care about the damage output, and 9 flayers that 5-up save, she just can go through them and take them out. Even little Marathi can just sit there and be like, okay, fine, while they go off and deal with the rest of the army. So, but yeah, very matchup dependent, and completely agree there. But at the same time, if it gets a run, it can run away with things. It can do some pretty good things on the table. And like you say, the Blister Skin teleports are really good, and the Archregent summoning from the board edge as well is just going to help him cover the board.
Sweet. Okay. Oh, Nighthaunt.
James.
Love Nighthaunt. Cool. All right. So we got Lachlan Clark, D3 Mortal Wounds. Rocking the Ragnar's Condemned. So this is one of the new processions which you can get out of the Bellicor book. So I haven't actually written many lists for the Condemned. I've kind of gravitated towards Emerald Host, like just as a personal preference. So what this does is Ragnar is our general in addition to his Dreadblade Harrow. So he's got Dreadblade Harrow as his general. So he's got that teleportation ability where he can jump around the board, bring a unit with him at the start of the movement phase. So super flexible there. It's one of the features I love about playing Nighthaunt. Rule of the Spirit Host. So he's bringing back D3 models to a unit within 9. He's got the Guardian of Souls with the Corpse Candle. So the Corpse Candle is the Ragnar's Condemned native artifact that must be put on a hero. So basically he gives him Ragnar's ability to snuff out a candle, and he can either do a mortal wound and add 1 to his casting, or he can do a mortal wound to himself and get +3 to casting. So it's just he's just like having another Ragnar running around.
Shade and Mist, I think having, because he has got Ragnar in the list as well, having the ability to do that twice can be really nice if he wants to, because you can use that to like break coherency in units. And it gives him 2 models that have got that ability that can be on different places of the board, which could be really interesting for just snapping a unit in half potentially. So it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Shade Mist, great spell, -1 to wound against the unit that he puts it on. Soul Cage, every Nighthaunt player's favorite, makes a unit fight last in the combat phase. What else we got there? So it's got 3 × 10 Grimghast Reapers, 20 Chain Rasps, Chain Ghasts. Chain Ghasts is a unit I haven't actually run yet, but I'm keen to. They're quite cool when they get into combat because it's every model within 2 inches, I think it is, of their range. So yeah, I think they're a really cool little unit. Bladegeist Revenants, Retreat Charge. What can I say? They're great units. Mongol getting in there, Shroud Guard, cool. So yeah, I like this list. I think it's got lots of units, which is great for Nighthaunt. Half and half, half in the underworld, half on the board. Heaps of flexibility, pops up anywhere. He can, with another ability with the Ragnar's Condemned, he gets he can return an additional D6 models to units from the Garden of Souls spell. So the spectral or temporal translocation spell. So
yeah.
I think
the Blade Geists are good. 10 Blade Geists are really nice. They're pretty punchy. Being in that Shroud Guard for a 5-up after save makes them really good as well. 2 Chain Ghasts for 70 points. If they pop a 10-inch charge and they're going into a horde, they probably in 2 activations could actually do a pretty good job of going through them as well. And also the fact that I think it's a really clever way of building a Nighthaunt list for a pack that has got total commitment in it, because you've got Ragnar's Condemned, meaning those 20 Chain Rasps, he can do the command ability for +6 move. So he can make the movement 12, and then Pendant of the Fell Wind obviously makes everything within 12 +3 move. So he can have like 15-inch moving Chain Rasps if he just needs to go first, put them in a line, spread out, get the objectives in the middle of the board, create a screen. He doesn't need to be able to like pop them up to do that job. So I think it's really nice. And I do love the double candle. I want to hit.
It's awesome.
I want to
It's
hear
really,
some
really good.
stories about he just like someone's like, oh, you can like, and they overlap and he just pops 2 models, and it's going to be cool.
Lachlan, I hope you bring like a candlestick with you with some, and just stare down your opponent as you put out candles with your fingers.
Just get a pack of like birthday candles, like pink ones, and then just go and blow them out.
One thing I have mentioned, which is the command ability for this procession. So it's the death comes swiftly. So you can pick a unit wholly within 12 of Ragnar's condemned hero, or wholly within 18 of the general. So that's 18 of Ragnar in addition to his harrow. And that's another 6 move to the move characteristic to the end of that phase. So that's potential with the Pendant of the Fell Wind there. That's what 9 inches extra movement on already fast units. So it's awesome. I like it. Okay, Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Dun dun dun. Whoop, excuse me. Getting a bit excited there. I'm not even drinking tonight, so it's all about it's hot chocolate tonight.
So yeah, first Bone Reapers list, and we've got Mortis Praetorians with Catacross, so leading into the extra save and the +1 to hit across the army. Catacross and Arcan, I think, is a really nice combination as well for healing up. And he's also gone full in for the 3 name characters who needs artifacts, with taking Xantos as well. So the amount of RDP he's going to generate is going to be huge. He's going to have 8 just from his heroes without rolling dice, and then the whole army's +1 to hit and +1 save, with the ability to heal 6 into 3 units, and then an additional 3, because Arcan heals 4 units and Catacross heals 3, and then also getting the reroll to wound from Xantos is really nice. Arcan, I think, super good for in OBR. That spell lore in OBR is amazing, and Arcan for his points, I think, is super good in OBR. He is still alive, even though I've allowed Soulblight Gravelords. But yeah, I think it's
sad.
cool.
I'm sad I can't use
Death Riders
Arcan
is
anymore.
interesting. You can. You just got to play OBR, James.
Yeah, not going to happen.
I think the only issue here is once you kill off those 10 Mortek, he's only really got body presence on two objectives. But the 15 Death Riders are quick and capable of being sustained and hitting reasonably hard, because of having Xantos in there to give them the 6-inch pile-in, doing mortals on the charge. Just the whole army being +1 to hit and +1 save with the double heal is really nice. And then you add in some spells from Arcan, like you pick a target unit, make it reroll 6s to hit and 6s to save, and you're giving yourself exploding. Or if he's taken the blade, so still exploding 5s is really nice. You can pop out a heap of attacks.
I just love the utility of that spell lore. Arcan is such a Swiss Army knife in this type of build. So you can obviously use him as a bit of a machine gun for the mortal wounds, casting the bolts multiple times, and Catacross and the Death Riders is a really good 1-2 punch. I see a lot of people using Catacross as a defensive piece to buff their army, but I think he's scariest when he's used sort of like in 2 different ways in the same game, if that makes sense. So early game, you're using him to preserve your army, and then late game, you're using him as a bit of a, I don't know, like the hammer from Smash Bros, just going in and beating stuff up.
Yeah, I fully agree. He's 500 points. You've got to get the most out of him. And if you run him turn 1,
he's fast. Yeah,
you can get him up there, middle of the board. Exactly. We've already said this pack's probably quite good for a middle board presence army. And he can put work in and just survive. Like he's sitting there like, hey man, I'm 18 wounds on a 2-up save. Like, or what, 20 wounds on a 2-up save. I've forgotten how many he is now. He's 20, right? It's pretty nuts. And then Arcan as well, just with the ability to put protection of Nagash on himself, to use that offensively, defensively. It's just nice. And you've always got the threat as well of Curse of Years. If someone's got a big wound sink unit that doesn't have an after save, you've just always got the threat of it. Like, don't get me wrong, you'd never rely on it, but it's super nice if someone comes at you with a starter egg or something that's not got a 6-up, and you just take it off. But
And Alex came to Gorban Smash last month, so good to. Thanks for coming up again, man. Good to see you. We'll see you again soon. Craig Anderson, Lords of Ruin. So Craig's been putting up little videos on the social medias with sort of documenting some of the story of his army. So it's been really cool. So it's been exciting build up to the event. It's always good to see stuff like that. So well done, Craig. So we've got Petrifex Elite, the Endless King, Ikana Munra, Phoenix of Tar, Reclaimer of his name, Bane of the Usurper. Wow. Some pretty epic names here. So we've got Liege Cavalos. We've got Kefef the Euphoric and Imset the Aegis.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
I think I got that. Cool. Yeah, so Soul Mason, Liege Cavalos. We've got his Anvil's hero, Imset Aegeus. So another one with lead the defense. Great spear, bit of bonus to his save, +1 to hit, +1 to his wound characteristics. So a tidy little hero there. Again, we got some Morghast Harbingers. You don't really see them much in Ossiarch Bone Reapers lists, do you?
No, not really. I think they're a bit overcosted. But I actually think this army will be really cool to see how it plays on the table. Investing in double battalions not very common, I think, for OBR. So yeah, just having, that gives him 2 RDP guaranteed every time. Obviously, with the Shield Corps, it means he doesn't have to spend an RDP every turn for the Mortek Guard to get their shield wall or something else, or to get their shield wall. The Stalkers, the Harbingers are going to get that pre-game 6-inch move to just get closer turn 1 and put the threat on. And 3 Stalkers, they can still put in work with those attacks. Going 3s and 3s, Ren 2, damage 2, 5 attacks a model. They can definitely do work. And he's still got a crawler sitting there as well. Just sitting there, just plinking shots. And yeah, the Soul Mason's great. Just for re-rolling ones across the army. And he's got a Cavalos as well for the extra attack in combat. So 20 Mortek can put in work. And yeah, he's got that Imset that he obviously just wants to stick around. So I can't remember which way around the traits are for the the +2 wounds and then the ignore the first wound every phase. I can't remember if it's the trait or the armor which does that, but either way, he's put a tanky upgrade onto both of the other heroes. And the Helm of the Ordained artifact as well is really nice. It's just a static +1 to hit. I think wholly within 12 of that liege as well. So without needing to take Catacross or take a reliable wizard with the Shrieker, he's just got that hero that can put out the +1 to hit as well, which is obviously going in with that liege that should survive for the Mortek or wherever he needs to be. It's cool. And yeah, I can't wait to see this army on the table with the very Egyptian kind of Tomb Kings aesthetic.
Yeah, I think Craig's in the chat. He's saying that he's saying, I think it's actually Imset, but I've been calling him I'm Set. And he said the trait is +2 wounds. Okay. All right.
And Joel OBR said can use the Anvil command ability because they use all of the command abilities on their scrolls are still command abilities. It's just in the army they use relentless discipline points to use them. So it's a command ability. So he just gets to use an RDP to use it.
Sweet. Hey, Daniel with another Petrifex Elite. Cavalos, Soul Mason, Bone Shaper, more Mortek, and some Death Riders, a couple of Crawlers. Mortek Ballistari. So is that I'll take it that's the The crawlers
It's
in a
yeah,
battalion?
2 crawlers and the Mortec guard and a hero. And I think the way that it works is that the crawlers can pass their damage on to the Mortec guard, and if the hero's nearby, they can do it more easily. So just makes your crawlers a bit more durable. Obviously reduces your drops, gets you the second artifact. I mean, it's not a great battalion, but it includes all things you want to take anyway. So there's no real tax in it.
Yeah, cool. All right.
And I mean, yeah, 40
Praetorians.
Mortec that have got 2 crawlers behind them as well is pretty nasty. So
I'm really surprised these OBR players haven't taken the hero that gives you the extra save. It just like makes you old Petrifex, or is a very cheap version of Catacross. I would have thought, like, if I was doing an OBR list, probably that would be the first thing I'll put in there is the whatever the commander's called.
The lead the defense commander.
Yeah, I think he's too good to pass up on in an OBR army.
Well, not everyone's trying to break the system.
Okay, fair.
So yeah, we've got Catacross, Mortison, Bone Shaper, more Mortec, Immortus Guard.
Sam, you were telling me how good Immortus Guard are recently. So
I like
Immortus. What do you think?
I like Immortus Guard if you plan on taking a hitty character. So Catacross certainly fits the bill there because they take on wounds on a 2+. They take on damage, so wounds and mortal wounds on a 2+ from characters that are close by. So they would have been a really good candidate to protect an Anvil's hero. But equally, them paired with Catacross, I think, is a good combination. And then the Harvester, obviously, is sort of doing that anyway in OBR for the units generically. So all of a sudden, this army only comes in at 105 wounds, but the combination of healing, the Harvester, and then the Immortus Guard keeping characters alive means that ultimately you need to do significantly more damage than the 105 wounds the list has to grind through it. And I think there's some good videos over on Simon's Order Academy. He plays against Carwin, who's a vastly superior player to Simon, and Carwin uses the Harvester to good effect.
Yeah, if people don't have shooting to take out the Harvester, then yeah, they're a nightmare. Just sitting behind 20 Mortec, it makes them more than 40. And like you say as well, a lot of the time, if you've got that Bone Shaper sitting there just topping the Mortec or the Harvester back up, and the Immortus are just taking its wounds. If someone tries to take out the Bone Shaper, it's like, what do you target? So yeah, no, it's cool. And Ash in the chat, I think you need to go and watch Frozen. Is all I'm going to go. Is all I'm going to say.
Okay. Stephen Patterson, D3 Mortal Wounds, Praetorians.
Yeah, so Stephen cleaned up some of our prizes at last slaughter. I think he got 2 of the big box sets, and I believe one of them was the Joint Ogre and OBR box set. So I wonder if that was the start of his OBR army.
Yeah.
So what have we got? It's the Xantos Catacross combo again, which I think is a nice one in Mortis Praetorians, and then 10 Death Riders, 20 Mortec, 10 Mortec, 10 Mortec, and then the Crawler. So these lists, right? They're really similar in terms of that there's a finite number of units you can take in OBR, but they're all doing them in slightly different ways. And none of the units, I don't think, Chris, you've played the book a lot more than me, but none of the units in the OBR book are bad. So whatever you include, it's going to be a good combination of units. And I like this one in the pack because I like what Crawlers can do. I like what Crawlers can do to clear out objectives, and then obviously the 10 Cavalos and the 20 Mortec are 2 blocks that are going to be really hard to move.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons around OBR is I think it's one of those armies that I don't really think a net list has emerged for OBR. I think they're all very similar because the unit selection isn't that broad, and they all have a very specific purpose. And so you're always going to go, okay, well, I've got more tech, and do I have a harvester backing them up, or do I have crawlers for the long range threat, or do I take one of each kind of thing? But they're all they're going to function very similarly, and so it's kind of just personal preference what people take. The only one that might have come out where I think multiple people have tried to do it that is quite unique is maybe the Nagash 15 horses. I've seen. Mitch over in New Zealand has taken out events with that, and then I think people in the UK have done it. So it's probably the only one I've seen that is maybe slightly has become a bit of a net list. But as you say, they all just kind of have their own little bit of flavor, which everyone can tweak themselves. And Catacross is great as a buff piece. It's one of those really interesting armies where I think I read the book when it came out and didn't understand it. I was like, I would never take Catacross. He seems useless for his points. He's not a wizard. He's blah 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 blah. And then you play the book, and now I've got an understanding of how the army works. I'm like, Catacross is incredible for the army. So yeah, I think it's cool. He's not got battalion in this, but putting Catacross and a Shrieker in is interesting. I don't know if he still wants his Mortec to hit on 2s, even if there's a -1 to hit.
I like it because it gives you 2 bubbles, right? If you're able to get it off, and then you can split your forces, which sometimes it can feel a bit like Catacross. And I know his bubble is quite large, but sometimes it feels like the army is centered around Catacross, and then stuff outside of that is really missing out. But with this army, you could sneak off with a 10 Mortec or a 10 Death Riders more likely, and still be getting them with the +1.
Yeah, I think the only issue is going to be the range of getting the spell out, because it's the only wizard to the Soul Mason. It's not like he's got an Arcan.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'll be interested to see as well how 10 Death Riders and Xantos go as well, because I've only got 5. I personally have only got 5 Death Riders, and so I've only ever run 5, and I've always found them underwhelming. So I've always been like, why would
please don't say that. I just got 30 done, so I don't want to hear
that.
I
was just going to say I find the 5 underwhelming, and so in my head I've always gone, well, if I don't see these as being as good as Mortec and they're more expensive, why would I spend even more points on them? But I do see people taking 10s and 15s off them and doing well, and so I think they're one of those units that you do have to invest more heavily in to become amazing. It's kind of like the old Snake Basti. You take 1 and it's a bit meh, and so everyone's like, well, they're not great. But it's like, well, no, they're not great if you take 1, but then if you take 3, they become incredible. So it might be one of those units where the larger the unit, just the better they kind of become. But like relative to points, obviously. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And yeah, obviously it's a new army because he was playing Khorne, I think 2 years ago. So
yeah. Okay. I think
Zach's no longer coming, unfortunately.
Here we go. Soulblight Gravelords.
The new newness.
The new newness. Josh Griffiths coming down from Orange, from the Orange Juicer. And he's just had a little baby. He and his partner have had a little baby recently. So congratulations, Josh. Wonderful news. And so he's taking Legion of Night, Manfred, the man himself, Amaranthine Orb. He's got a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon. So he's gone with the Merciless Hunter, which is add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons for this general. He's got the Vial of Pure Blood. That's the one, I think, when you get +1 to hit and wound until your next hero phase. That's a once per battle in your hero phase. So that's pretty tasty, especially if you're getting on the back foot of a double. Soul Harvest, that's the wounds, D3 mortal wounds to units within 3, and then you can heal back from that as well. So Vial Transference, not as good as it used to be. I think some of the spells from the Vampire lore in the book have somewhat lessened compared to their predecessors, but you're not really bringing Soul Harvest. You're bringing Van Hell's Dance Macabre for the Necromancer.
I was going to say, I don't think it matters that much anyway.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
Necro, you're casting Van Hell's.
Yeah, and the War Scroll spells are so good on these for these characters anyway. So he's gone the big block of skeletons, 10 direwolves, 3 Vargeists. I like it. Good to see some Vargeists in there. Blood Knights, Black Knights. Extra command points. So I like it. Again, he's got his bodies. He's got some movement with the direwolves. He can put half of these in ambush, half of them on the board. Plus with the extra Vargeists up in the sky as well. So I think with this one, because instead of putting on the board, you can put up in the sky. So you've got an extra unit up in the sky, essentially. I like it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how good New Manfred is with his cloak.
Yes,
it's got no zombies. Like I think Ash has said, it feels like a classic Vampire Counts army, and I think that's true. He's got a little bit of everything. He's got some knights. The 10 Black Knights, I think, probably not the best use of points, but at the same time, 20 wounds that are relatively fast. He's Legion of Knights, who's going to get the +1 save on Death Rattle in the first battle round. The Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, don't think is probably as good for the points as say Vordry, but at the same time, in this list, probably the better choice because it's something solid to make his general, put the artifact on, command trait, etc. He can steal the obviously that vial of pure blood's only going to affect the lance, but it's that lance is still pretty tasty on a normal Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. So.
Yeah.
I think the combination of Manfred and a Zombie Dragon's quite nice because Manfred's always going to be able to teleport around to get the dragon into his buff bubble. So, I take your point, Chris, that maybe the Black Knights aren't optimal and maybe Vordry's better than the Zombie Dragon, but I still think that both those units are going to find a place in the army. They're both going to add something, and I think with what you often find with new book releases is what did the person have back in AOS 1 or 8th edition or AOS 2, and then they start to add the new units. So, maybe if it had 3 more months, we'd be seeing 120 zombies, but we're not. So I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah.
But
obviously Manfred's command ability is awesome. His spell's good. Yeah, the new the whooshy cloak. Love it.
It's the best. It's so cool.
I'm so keen as well to see how that unit of 30 skellies goes with a necro as well, because I think people were in 2 camps. They either were like, nah, skellies crap, they're not worth it, or actually skellies are amazing. That new ability. I'm super keen to see how it plays on the table and all the shenanigans you can pull with it.
Yeah, I think the skeletons are the long-term winners. Whereas the zombies are like the new hotness. Oh, zombies can do mortal wounds, and they'll see a lot of play, but then people will figure out how to counter it. And because they'll still be fairly easy to wipe out. But I think the skellies will have that bit more of that staying power. Will probably over the long term be a more common option, perhaps, especially in Legion of Blood.
They don't have any restrictions around the way that their slain models are returned. And whenever you can take a large unit that's able to regenerate models, that opens up a whole heap of really interesting objective play. Yeah. So I think that's going to be something that's pretty cool with the skeletons too.
Yeah. It's just the 3 inch away, right? They can only go within 3 if they're already within 3 of a unit. But other than that, you can keep putting them back within coherency, right?
They don't have any restrictions at all on their war scroll.
Is it okay? I think it might be in the book, just as a general returning slain.
Yeah, so so there's a designer's note in the allegiance abilities, which basically just says when you return a model to the unit, it can only be set up within. It can only be returned to within 1 inches of a model from the unit that had not been returned that phase. Is that what you were talking to, Chris?
Oh no, if it's in combat, it can only be put into combat if it's already in combat with the unit.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's the next part of it. Yep.
Yeah.
And with the same stipulation. So unfortunately, no more creeping across the board, getting that extra.
You can still creep,
like not
you just can't. You can't tie up units that weren't tied up.
Yeah. Okay.
Already.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at the next one.
Moving on. All right, so Stephen, Company of Dice. So I think last slaughter he brought Nagash and friends, so and he did really well with that too.
Yep.
So he's
Yeah, he
continuing.
podiumed, I think.
Yeah, I think it was on second or third. I think. Yeah, definitely. I think it's second. Wait. Oh, anyway. Yeah. Here we got Manfred again. Prince Vordry. We've got the Red Duke on Felmist. Love it. Can't wait to see this conversion. Hey, Vangorian Lord. He's got his Blood Knights and Skeletons, so it's all about the heroes, all about the monsters. The Castellite Dynasty. It's not one that I've explored a hell of a lot. Not traditionally being a soul blight or Blood Knight player. But yeah, do you guys? What have you guys picked up from the Castellite Dynasty?
It's got that amazing rules of the keep or whatever. That's that one, right? Where you get extra damage. You get extra wound to your models, or you get +2 to run and charge. And there's a way of triggering all three. So I look, this army has 24 models. So obviously he's going to have a lot of awful matchups, but equally, if you wind it up and you get into the combats that you want to be in, you're just going to blend the world with this stuff. So it's a super high skill army. So hopefully the guy's able to get some practice in with it.
Yeah, so he's got the Swift and Deadly command trait on the general is reroll charge rolls for friendly Castellite units wholly within 12. So I think, he's going to have his boys lined up and, get those reroll charges. I think it's pretty strong. That's good. Fragment of the Keep. What's that one do?
I think that's the once
it's
per
a
game.
bubble.
-1 to wound.
Trigger. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so subtract 1 from wound rolls. Yeah. For attacks made with melee weapons by enemy units within 6 of the bearer. So nice little debuff there.
Okay. And that Vangorian Lord's already reducing rend by 1, right?
Yeah, he's really nice.
Yep.
Which is cool. But yeah, I mean, he's got the Vordry Manfred combo, or Vordry and the Anvil's hero for trying to pop in, obviously, a hero phase, pile in an attack. Manfred can whoosh around, get the extra attacks on. Vordry's a blender, I think, now. So
yeah, he's really good.
But yeah, I think body-wise, he's going to struggle.
Yeah. But that Red Duke, I can't wait to see that. Thanks, Steve. We'll see you soon. Moving on. We got the Buybuster list. Yours truly. Went for the Vikos Dynasty. I really love the Pack Alpha command trait, which I put on my Vampire Lord. So he's basically gets to use his +1 attack ability for free once a turn. And State of the Elfin Watch is pretty cool. You can it's once per game ability. Put it up in your hero phase from or any hero phase, and it'll basically every time your opponent spends a CP on a 5-up, you get a CP. So and then the Elfincarnian Phylactery is an extension of the death save. So it's been changed to Wholly within 12. This one extends it out to Wholly within 18. Prison of Grief, I think, is an auto include. I love this spell. Basically, it's been cleaned up with the wording, so it's every time. So you basically pick a unit within 12, cast it on them. Every time they go to make a move, so it's just move full stop. On a 5-up, can't move. So want to pile in 5-up? No, can't do it. Want to charge? No. Want to move? No, nothing. Cool. And I love the Death Stench Drove Battalion. So basically, I've gone the minimum units. I was actually glad I could fit a battalion in with Nagash. And so basically, the corpse carts are giving the Deadwalker zombies +1 attack. So and getting the pile-in attack twice, mortal wounds. They get +1 to wound if they're wholly within 9 of the Vampire Lord. Yeah, I can put him in the grave sites. And I love the grave sites now, actually. They're actually a lot more, I think they're a lot easier to use, they just make a lot more sense now. Like you've got that wholly within 12. You don't need a hero in range now to bring a unit up out of the grave sites. So you can really play with where you're positioning your grave sites now. So knowing that you could do a bit more of a reliable deep strike or come up behind lines, or harass around the edges. Corpse carts, fantastic. So the Balefire Brazier is my favorite one. So it's the -1 to wound within 9 to your enemy, and -1 to casting. The Unholy Lodestone, still +1 to cast for your guys within 12, and it also does a +1 save to your zombies.
And that +1, that's just all Soulblight Gravelords, right? So it works on Nagash as well?
For the casting, yes.
Yeah.
So and I bought Nagash because why not? It's a buy buster list. I wanted to just, if I do end up playing, I just want to put Nagash on the table, have a bit of a novelty fun game, see how he goes, cast all the spells, and push some zombies around and watch them swarm, get those 6-inch pile-ins.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think, like you say, the fact that you can actually fit that battalion, and it's the double corpse cart version of that battalion with Nagash, is really cool. Like, there's a few people in the chat saying like it's a cool list. I think Asher said it's a cool list, and yeah, everyone's just getting excited for Warhammer, which is cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Exactly. So I wish I was playing now.
Yeah, I'm hoping I get to play.
I think there's a good chance, James. I think you and I might be swapping.
I hope not.
Sad as it makes me, I've got the backup is Golban, the 2-dayer. So if this falls through, that's the backup. So I'll see you either way.
Oh, cool. Good. All right. Go to the destruction lists. Getting there. Halfway, guys. Halfway. Andrew Bigwood coming down from Young. So he's got Goraka the God Eater. I love that. I love that name. So making him his general. He's got the Wild Fury and the Battered Talisman. Big Ogre with the Grand Hammer. Going to town. Extra attacks, extra rend, +2 to hit, +2 make extra wounds. Inspiring his troops. It's great. Love it. Butcher, Firebelly, Huskard and Stonehorn. Hunter. He's got a Loon Boss with Giant Cave Squig. Gluttons, Savage Oryx, Eaters. Yeah, it's a nice mishmash. I like it.
It's a proper mishmash, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Boingrot, Gargant, some Sabres, Man-Eaters, Gluttons, Oryx, a Cave Squig.
Yeah.
A Hunter. It's a real mix. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the custom hero. I think Wild Fury is such a good trait for a Anvil's hero. I'm actually surprised that he didn't invest in like the extra damage. Because he's gone the extra attacks, and he's gone for the +2 to hit, which maybe could have been damage, because that Wild Fury is what, +1 to hit, +1 to wound.
No, Wild Fury's +1 attack, and then +2 attacks if you've suffered 3 or more wounds, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Or
and yeah, he's obviously He's taken those extra wounds to kind of cover that trait.
Exactly. And he's got 6 cracks at the command trait, the battle trait for destruction, which is a move. And it's something that you can use multiple times on the same unit. So, you can get charges in. You can do heaps of movement shenanigans with that, because something like the... I don't know, nothing seems particularly fighty, right? But something like the Boingrot Bounders, as an example, could charge in the hero phase, and then they could run away and retreat and then pile into something else. And they've got pretty good damage output for the small bases that they're on. And yeah, just having six opportunities to move in the hero phase is really significant. And Andrew's lists typically look like some random mismatch, and then you see them on the table, and there's all these inherent synergies that you've missed. And I know he did really well. I think it was Mixed Destruction that he ran at Border Wars. He did really, really well there, and surprised a lot of people because they thought the same thing, right? So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he does really well with this list.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a Huskard on Stonehorn in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that charging in the hero phase and retreating and piling in, it's good.
The big wah. Terakenko.
He's one of your mates, isn't he, Smorgan?
Tero is a great man, but he's my grudge. So I don't know, I need to read this list. I need to consume it and understand what it does. What's he got? A Mega Boss on a Maw Crusher. Always good in Big War, obviously. He hasn't taken the command trait that lets him move, though. What's Live to Fight do? Because usually people take that command trait that gives you
the extra move, free move.
The extra move.
Rampaging thing.
Yeah, because the Iron Fist gives him one version of that, right? But typically people take the double.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting start. Then 2 War Chanters are amazing. And then the rest of the army is wrapped up in the Iron Fist Battalion. So Ard Boys are terrific units. Gore Grunters that can double move are amazing. And Brutes are whatever. Like, they're neither good nor bad. But yeah, this is all about racking up a heap of buffs from being in Big War, from War Chanters just doing things automatically, and then being able to, double move around using that Iron Fist, and you're looking to probably double move the Gore Grunters or the Mega Boss, and get them into whatever you need to.
Yeah. Yeah, Joel's just said it in the chat. Yeah. I just found it. But yeah, it's reroll wounds for attacks by him and his mount if he charges.
Okay. I think that's very suboptimal compared to the other ones, so I'm happy to see that.
So it's already wounding on 2s, Joel was saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, he's still got six Gore Grunters with a War Chanter boss. But like, yeah, if they double move, they're a real pain as a threat, because they can go 18 inches and then charge with like damage 2 on their riders and their mounts. Like, yeah, they can put in work. And the R Boys, 15 R Boys are good. And yeah, when you get everything going as well, like you say in Big War, when you get it all going to like 2s and 2s, it's pretty good.
Do you think he meant Brutish cunning and he wrote the wrong thing? Anyway. I'm not upset.
We'll just change that. Okay. Bone Splitters. Woo. Jet Griffiths. The boy's back.
Yeah, Jet was a very late addition to the event. It was just like, Jet, come. And he was like, yeah, okay. So he's like, I haven't played in like a year. What's good? And I'm just like, oh God, Jet. Just take something. But yeah,
he's a long time bone. He's a long time
bone splitters aren't something I am super familiar with. Bone Grins is is that the one where you can't retreat, or is that the forced charge? I keep forgetting. For Bone Grins, that is you have to charge if you're within 12. Enemy units within 12 have to attempt to charge it, and must make a charge move if possible. And then you can't retreat within 3. Oh, so it's both in one. How good! So it's
amazing.
You force your opponent to charge you, and then once they're in combat with you, they can't retreat for your entire army. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's reminded me. Yes, I know the next list has both, and yes, we will talk about that when we get there. But yeah, I mean, 6 big stabbers is pretty tasty as well, and he's got quite a lot of boar boys, actually 20 boar boys. So he's got 174 wounds, loads of heroes as well. The War Docs are good, aren't they?
They're amazing. The War Docs, I think you start your Bone Splitters list with War Doc, and then it's like, all right, what are they buffing? Because they get the spell and the prayer and the utility that they bring. Their spell lore is amazing. So he's taken the good spell, or one of the good spells, I should say, because there's a number of good spells, and then the prayer is obviously just a freebie. And the prayers, some of them are really good as well. So yeah, the Wardock, particularly if you're taking bigger units. So this army, I don't know, maybe you're trying to buff the big stabbers, but yeah, if you take the block of 30 Savage Orcs, that pairing of a Wardock and Savage Orcs is disgusting because they're both so massively undercosted because the Savage Orcs drop down to get a horde bonus once they hit the 30.
Yeah, nice. And I always forget that they're 2 wounds each. Like every single one of those is 20 wounds. With a 6 up after. Is it a 6 up after, or they just always get a 6 up? I think it works out the same. Yeah. All right, let's look at the next list.
Oh,
I think this was the hardest one to fit on the page.
yeah.
With Joel taking like everything in terms of I mean, he was just saying how good war docs are, so he's taken 4 of them.
It's a good start.
And then he's also taken the kind of min-max 60-point anvil hero for the +1 save commander, and then he's taken the full-on 400-point anvils monster that is probably the best use of a book's like artifact, because the book itself is like the best you can put that on is a 6 wound 4 up save dude, and then he's put it on a thing that's got something like 16 wounds or something, I think, with the 3 superior vitalities he's taken, the 2 extra armors to get it to a 3 up. He's made it ethereal. He can so you can basically have it 3 up ethereal with 16 wounds that has a 4 up after save, because that's what glowing tattoos does. And then he's got triple extra attacks on the maw, which is the super good profile. He's given it the +1 to wound on the maw. And remember, this whole army, you have to charge it and you can't retreat from it.
Yeah, it's gross. That's really clever. Like that is clearly the best use of anvils we've seen so far.
I think that's the best. That's the most optimized going through and building an anvils hero to try and, I guess, not necessarily break the system, but get the maximum out of it. But at least it only counts as 1 model. It's not a Stonehorn.
And he's got the Cunning Beast Spirits is +1 save, right? And then the Wardock has a chant that's +1 save. And then the 60-point hero has lead the defense. So he can get his... So what can he get his Savage Orcs on? 5 up, cover, 4 up. So he can get him onto -1. So he can get his Savage Orcs to -1 save pretty easily. It's outrageous, and they're massive because they're on the big bases, right? So this is the thing. Like, some armies really struggle because they've only got 1 inch reach, and they're on the big base. But for the orcs, right, they're just a 60 wound tar pit, so it's actually a massive advantage. You're on the big base, and then you've got the after save, and then you can't retreat from these guys. So he could take out like a whole pie plate with the unit of 30 with the -1 save, maybe -2 or -3 save. You need to do the math, but I'm pretty sure you can get down that low. And then the other guy can go and sit on another pie plate, and you can't hurt him either. So as I said, like, there's 2 missions with 3 objectives, 2 with 4. So in both of those, he's taking he's in a winning position, and you have to move him. And that to me, I don't think any of the armies we've seen so far have the output. Save perhaps some of the Zinc lists if they get their
I think a change
right.
host.
The
change host will take off the Oryx.
I don't know, without Rend into the ethereal guy with a 4 up after save, and then the other bloke's a 60 wounds with a 6 up after save.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This is the strongest list so far, which is funny because it's Bone Splitters, which you wouldn't typically have said is an S tier army in the current meta. But the addition of these 2 characters is a massive force multiplier.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely on my list of people I expect to probably be sitting on the podium at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen some of the stuff to come as well, and some of the things you think might counter that, like maybe Eel Spam or a good Lumineth list just don't exist in this pack. Shade
against the Lumineth players.
No, I just don't think that anyone's taken an optimized list. They haven't tried to break the pack, right? Anyway, We'll wait and see. Perhaps we'll get to Lumineth and I'll revise that, because I've been flicking through as we speak and nothing's really jumped out at me yet.
Morgan, how funny would it be if someone had taken the OBR Null Myriad artifact and gone up against this guy? No save!
Amazing. That would have been amazing.
Cool. But no one did. No one took it.
No.
Going up to the Gits. Anthony Magro from the Lords of Ruin. So it's Scragrot, Skarsnik, Fungoid Cave Shaman, the Loon Boss, all the Stabbers, Squig Herds, and he's got the Boggle-Eye Brew, Git Scaremonger, Shrewmanster, Spiker, and the Lead Smasher Fanatics, Scuttle Tide. So Skarsnik has come back. He's come back from the dead.
Yeah, have you seen Magro's big conversion? He's been posting on Twitter.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It looks so good. He's converted a Maw Crusher and put like the big Mangler Squig face on it.
Oh wow, cool.
And he's obviously got Skarsnik on the back of it. So Gobbler's had a glow up, sorry, for the Mortal Realms.
I think this is the biggest triumph bid, isn't it? By some margin.
Oh, that's probably no. That's me. I didn't add the extra points on from the from the Anvil's Hero.
I assumed as much.
Yeah, but imagine that. Okay, yep, definitely getting a triumph today. Cool.
Yeah, and I love the what is it? The the names just completely escaped me. The 5 individual dudes. What that's called?
Gobberpalooza.
The Gobberpalooza. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see them. On the table. And he's got loads of bodies. Bloody, that is a lot of stabbers. 120 stabbers.
Yeah.
Do you have to be wholly within the terrain feature to be immune to battle shock?
I think so. Yeah, wholly within 12, right?
Yeah, it's 0 CP and about 15 drops from the look of things. So that's going to be interesting. That if you can alpha this army, you'll literally take it off in a turn.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think this army generally aims to bunker around the Loon Shrine, right? Yep. Although it'd be pretty funny if there's a few things now that can just destroy terrain. So someone just comes in turn 1 and just destroys the Loon Shrine and is like, bye. But yeah, I'm very looking forward to seeing this army. Like, Magro's a great painter, and I want to see what Skarsnik looks like in real life. So
okay, Ben Spinetti, Clan Filth with so we got Loon Boss, Mangler Squig, Giant Cave Squig, Loon Boss and Giant Cave Squig. Sorry, a couple of Cave Shamans. He's got a Squig Whisperer. It's all about the squigs. Moonjumper Stampede. Snuffers, Boingot Bounders.
I really, really want to play Ben. Squigs are Bravery 3. The catapults love playing against squigs. This is such a cool army, and one that's doing really well on TTS. So people are running the squig oriented Gloomspite lists and having good success. So be interesting to see how this goes. It's one of those ones that doesn't look great on paper and then is playing really well on the table. So it's got 200 wounds, doesn't it, as a starting point? That's always a good place to start. So I'm interested to see how Ben goes with this one.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Cody Howden coming up from Canberra. So again, we got Loon Boss Giant Cave Squig, Loon Boss and Mangler Squig, Fungoid Cave Shaman, Madcap Shaman, and Doxum, I want to say, Silent S, or Sedoxum, Loon Mage. That's his Anvil's Hero. Again, got the Squigs and the Boingrot Bounders. And
I think, the combination of the squigs with the additional rend, right? It takes those Boingrot Bounders up a level. They're already a really good unit, and I think 15 for 300 points is pretty solid economy. But yeah, getting them the additional rend, and they've got potentially run and charge with the Squig Lure, and then they've got all the other bonuses associated with the new sub faction. Cogs is interesting as well. Like anything you can do to ramp them up and then get them in there. And this is actually a 1940 point list, right? So he's going to be getting the triumph in every single game, which whenever you're running a Death Star, you're chasing that triumph. So I really like this one. I think this is the more optimized Squig list compared to the other one, obviously, but I really, really like it.
I think that's James not including the 60-point anvil hero again, Sam.
Oh, you're kidding? Because
sorry.
I think this is the sort of list that would love a triumph. Whether that's reroll saves against something that doesn't have rend into the Boingorot Bounders, or reroll to hit and wound. Either of those things would be awesome.
Look, I was tired. Okay, I must have been tired when I was doing these ones.
It's all good, James. It's all good. You did a great job.
Okay.
All right, we're on to Iron Jaws. We've got Broad McMurdo, another boy from D3 Mortal Wounds. I don't know why I just said boy then. Boy. We got Mega Boss on Maw Crusher, who's got the Right Fist of Dakbad and the Sunblessed Armor, which are the mandated trait and artifact for Iron Suns. And he's got the Meanon, so he's got the extra damage on the fists. And then double War Chanter, pretty standard, I think, in Iron Jaws. Killer Beat, Get 'em Beat, both great. And then he's gone for a cheeky Anvil's hero with the Plate of Perfect Protection for ignoring Rend 1. And then the Great Big Green of the Great Big Green Hand of Gork, which is a teleport spell. And he's taken the Archmage for +1 to have a crack at that. So it's a nice way of trying to get a cheap but slightly more reliable teleport into his list. And then he's got the Iron Fist in there for the extra, the free movement or fight, etc. Once per turn. 6 Grunters I think are great with the War Chanter. 15 Our Boys are great with the War Chanter. Mega Boss is great with the War Chanter. I think Iron Jaws are in a really good spot with the new book. Like I say, new book, it's been out for ages now, but like I think that book did a lot for them. Obviously, they're not gonna like the new hotness, like Seraphon, Fangs, etc. But then I also think that you say that about almost any army. The whole Seraphon, Fangs takes it out, but or just coalesced. You just basically make the War Chanters redundant. But that being said, I don't think there's that many Seraphon lists coming necessarily, and I still think it's super good. Like it's a lot of wounds. Great. Everything's on a 4-up armor save or a 3-up. Decent amount of bodies. Movement, punch. I think they're good. I quite like where Iron Jaws are at, to be honest. That whole hero phase charge, retreat, pile-in mechanic is really good as well. Like I was playing some games probably a year or so ago now at the start of COVID on TTS with Ash, and he was playing Iron Jaws with this, and I was playing Deepkin, and like Deepkin is supposed to be great, and he just kept smashing me. He kept just hero phase charging me and then retreating over into my juicy stuff, and it's tough to deal with. Don't know if you've got any more thoughts.
We've got Brogan in the chat saying, watch this list.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool.
All right. And speaking of Brogan, more Iron Jaws. More Iron Jaws. Awesome.
That looks like a copy paste on the Maw Crusher.
Hang on. No, okay, yeah, I haven't.
No, it's slightly different. No, it's slightly different. They've gone for the different weapon option. But otherwise it's Iron Sun. So yeah, same trait, same artifact, and same mount trait as well. But yeah, he's gone for all the brutes, 2 10s and 2 5s, and then the 6 grunters, all in the Iron Fist with the extra CP, double War Chanter.
Boom, boom.
Everything.
It's just a really great list, isn't it?
Yeah,
like 150 wounds, pretty durable, super fast with those additional moves. Yeah. This is brutes over Ard Boys, but nonetheless, it's same stuff. it's quick. And what Chris was saying, like the charge, then retreat, run, and pile in is just an amazing piece of tech in any army.
Yeah, it's gross. Like even just the 5 brutes, like if they can, sometimes the smaller units actually help with that because the small footprint lets them like side conga away to get to a little hero behind. And five brutes should deal with a little hero, no worries. And so that whole ability to just be like, okay, cool. Well, once the game's kicked off, I can hero phase charge, and then, like you say, run plus retreat, get them out, and then pile in somewhere. It's you can do a lot of shenanigans with it, and any of those units with the War Chanter buff put out a huge amount of damage.
Sweet. Kyle Brown.
Are these guys all from the same club? Or
I think so.
Same list?
Yeah.
They're basically all taking Iron
good.
Suns.
I think there's about 8 guys coming from D3 Mortal Wounds. So Sydney boys representing.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Love your support, guys. Thanks so much. It's awesome. Yep. I actually played Kyle at the Combat Company a couple of weeks ago. We had a game versus the. I think it was a very similar list to this, if not the same list. Yeah, I think it's the same list.
Hang on, is this actually not joking? The same as Brod's list, 2 lists further up.
Oh God.
I think it is.
Has he got the Anvil's character?
Yeah. Need to have a look at that.
Sunblessed armor. Meaning
that's too funny.
We need to see if that's a mistake on our side, or if that's that they have literally taken the same. No,
it wasn't. It wasn't because I had to chase down Kyle for some extra info.
Well, that's funny.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
But now it's a proper competition because you can't blame it on your list. So whoever performs better, it's pure skill.
No, matchups. Oh, I got terrible matchups, mate.
Okay. No worries. So it's bulk beers on whoever wins.
That's pretty.
Yeah, good. I don't know. I think it's correct. Is anyone in the chat? Does anyone in the chat know whether I've screwed this up or not? Anyway,
is that Kyle or you carry on? I'll have a look.
Yeah. Cool. But we had a game at Combat Company. That was the first running of my block of 40 zombies in the Death Stench drove. It was a tight game. It came down. I think we're playing Knife to the Heart, so it was like came down to that priority roll. It was going to be his game if he got it. I got it in the end, so it was in my favor. But it was fun. Just watching his zombies chew through his aura card boys and turning him into zombies was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. That mechanic triggering on a 2+ now. Back in the old zombie scroll, it was just like random luck 6. if you got one back or whatever. But 2+ makes it super reliable. I love what they've done there.
Yeah.
Yeah, James, that is your mistake.
Oh no. God.
That's all right. We can change it. Kyle Brown's actual list is instead of the Anvil's hero, there's an Auric Mega Boss with the Sunblessed armor, and then the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher. I think has the traits. I think that's what you corrected for the trait in the artifact. But he's got a Mega Boss on Maw Crusher, and then a second Mega Boss, and then he's got 6 Gore Grunters, 3 Gore Grunters, 3 Gore Grunters, 15 Ard Boys, Iron Fist, extra command point, 1970.
Okay, so it's still very, very similar.
Still similar, but not a carbon copy.
My apologies. We'll fix that up for you guys. Michael said one job. Yeah, I know. Okay, moving on. Let's get the Ogre More Tribes. Ben Smith coming up from Canberra, from the Chaos Club. So bold ahead, and I'm going to say, doing these ones, I hope I haven't done the same thing again. But a lot of the
that is the ultimate. Like, they're all the same. It's just a bunch of Stonehorns, isn't it?
Pretty much, it's like combinations of Stonehorns. For the next sort of 5 lists, so I've just copied and pasted the same across all of them, and we'll just leave it at that. Oh god.
No, yeah. I mean, this is the all bad, which I think is probably what the most common battalion for more tribes.
The Boulder Head.
With that's the Huskard on Stonehorn, and then the other Stonehorn to give the mortals on 6s to hit. And then I mean, he's got 4 Stonehorns. Yeah, we all know what they do. Like, this is great into OBR. I mean, it's great into a lot of matchups. Just them all counting as 10 models. I think more tribes are super strong. They're a list that if you've got the army to play into them, you play into them, but also they're good. I think for what they do, they look low on bodies, but I think that's where their allegiance abilities shine. So
yeah, got Brent Koppel, Boldhead, Frostlord, Huskard. Got a Hunter.
Yeah, he's got the Hunter, I think, just to get those. Yeah. He's got the Hunter just to get those sabers battle line. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, the extra artifact. So Boulder Head, they're all getting a trait anyway. But yeah, it means he can have the Black Cloughorn, Brand of the Svard, hitting on 2s, Frosthorn, and then he's got the rune tokens, Metal Cruncher, Stonehorn, so the once per game rerolling, hits, wounds, saves, and then doing the mortal wounds at the start of combat, and then the Alfgar Ancient Huskard, which is great. Basically, as long as you haven't charged, anything within 3 inches has to fight last in combat, so he can go with those Stonehorns, and basically those 3 can go around as a trio and just absolutely bully the board. Like if you want to put those 3 in the same place and just basically shunt round objectives, you can, and then you just keep the Hunter and Sabers off the board with the Skull and just wait until you've basically shunted off an objective, then move on, pop up some dogs, and just you can basically move around the board doing that. And if something charges it, if you've got that Huskard in the middle, it's kind of hard to get into it or get and not fight last, because there's 2 Stonehorns are obviously harder to take down. So if you're trying to take down the Thunder Tusk, you try and position it in a way where they basically can't hit it in combat without the Stonehorns being able to go first.
Yeah. Okay, we got Damien Newsom. So he's taken a different Moor tribe, the Winterbite. Stonehorde, Hunter, 2 Hunters. Sabers, Mournfang, a couple of more Stonehorns.
I think we might just need to. I think you've doubled up the command trait. Maybe we'll just need to fix that up, but that's all good. But yeah, he's got a bunch of dogs. 2 units of 8 sabers. This is the one where he's trying to go for the extra attacks stacking potentially.
Yeah.
Onto those frost sabers with +4 to charge. Essentially, because +3 is it +3 from the Skull or being in range of the Hunter or something, and then they get an additional 1 from the opposite. So I'm pretty sure they can pop up and be +4 to charge, which is quite nice. And then he's still got 2 Stonehorn battle line Stonehorns, and then a Huskard on Stonehorn with the rune tokens as well. So yeah, a bit more bodies, a bit more, I guess, flexibility in terms of like objective grab popping up, more battle line as well.
I think Winterbite's a really nice choice as well, because you neg one to hit in your deployment zone. And then I think it's strike first for the if they're wholly within 12 of the general. So
maybe
you can get both
frost sabers.
Yeah, so you can get both those unit of frost sabers, buff up their attacks, get them striking first. Obviously stay in the game with 2 command points for the battalions and then 1 for the turn. So you can do some stuff there. I much prefer Yetis in this build, but I still think this is really fun and really awesome.
Yeah. For the Boulder Head list from Heath Thompson from Scrubhammer.
I mean, this is fully leaning into.
This is all of them. Yeah.
More tribes, right? It's six beasties. It's nice to see a mix. He's gone for 4 stone horns and 2 thunder tusks. But yeah, I mean, just those blood vultures as well. Like they can just rack up, and they really help with the whole, because you count as 10. If your opponent's got like units of 10, you just blood vulture one off, and you don't even need to worry about putting your output into that unit. You just move on to the objective, just run onto it, and just go, cool, I'm 10, you're 9. The thunder tusks are nice if he comes up against hordes or anything to just do mortal wounds. I've been wondering about how thunder tusks go into maybe like the Lumineth matchup, for example, because of the mortals just kind of getting through like the double stacking of saves or the ethereal, etc., and just being based on the, even like you play the 10 sentinels, you've got the vulture to ping them off, so you outscore them while you're alive, and all that stuff. So I wonder about how more tribes kind of go into stuff like Lumineth and in general. I know they're really good into like the Nighthaunt matchup and stuff, where the units don't want to, they normally win by being in loads of places and just kind of outnumbering in 10s and bodies, and it's something that they've really struggled against. Like I've played Tyrrell just with like 7 thunder tusks or something, and I was just doing exactly that. Just you ping off 1 chain rasp from a 10, and he's like, well, great, you outscore me, I can't charge you because you kill me. So I think it's good. What are your thoughts? And he's 1970, so should get a triumph.
This list basically, in my experience, auto beats OBR, and I think most of the Slave to Darkness lists that are at this event, it would auto beat as well. So it's got this big chunk of the field where it's in a massively favourable matchup, and I just don't know how it plays into. I don't know how it plays into durable bodies, which I think will be what ultimately makes its way up to the top table. So it's a really interesting one. In the mid tables, it should terrify people because they won't be able to withstand the damage output. And then, like you said, the trading off of models, that counting as 10 and being in 6 different places counting as 10 is really, really useful.
Martin Brooks.
Yeah,
coming up from Canberra as well.
I think this list was called "I Stole This List from Pask." But yeah, he's Martin Pask online has obviously been playing ogres for a long time now. I think for a lot of events on the tabletop, certainly. I don't know if he's also stuck to them via TTS or not. I think he's probably done most of his TTS stuff TOing really, but yeah, much more of a mixed list. I mean, 4 2s of Mournfang, and then the first unit of Noblars we've seen as well in more tribes, which is interesting. And he's 1960 as well, so he should get a triumph for that, which is nice for that Frostlord on Stonehorn. He's gone Blood Gullet as well, which I think is really nice for the 6-inch pile-in and the continual healing on the Frostlord and the Huskard and the other Stonehorn. I think that's one where he does again ram those 3 in one place, and if you don't quite kill that Stonehorn, the next turn he's like proper healed up because he just pops his boar pot, kills a model, heals. Next turn kills a model, heals. I think that's a really good combination, the command trait and the artifact from Blood Gullet. And I think it can be worth the payoff of not just getting the mount traits on all of your monsters as well. So I don't know, Smoggen, have you got much experience against like MSU Mournfang?
I think Mournfang are really terrible, but they're a unit that everyone owns because they come in the start collecting box. So I've played against them a fair bit for that reason, but I just think almost everything else in the book I like better. I might be missing something, and I know you can do some really cool things with stacking mortal wounds, but almost always whenever I play Mournfang, I'm like, oh, thank goodness that wasn't a Stonehorn, or to a lesser extent, thank goodness that wasn't Yeti. So I'm not a big fan of the Mournfang. In fact, I'd probably say 12 bulls or small units of Iron Guts are also better. So not one that I'm massively worried about, but I'm sure if I play Martin now, he'll probably table me turn 2.
Trevor Williams, another Boulderhead list. So we got Frostlord, Thunder Tusk, Butcher, Mournfang are back, and a couple of Stonehorns as well.
Yeah.
Another variation of the same.
Yeah, I mean the fours of Mournfang, I think I think you could expect a bit more from them, although I'd be putting them in an Earlbad. I think if they can do the more wounds on sixes, then they start to be in like an interesting place. They're on big bases, so even just using 4 of them, I think, can be a bit hard for positioning. And yeah, I just look at them now and I'm like, I know Thunder Tusks are not as good as Stonehorns, but for 270 for a Thunder Tusk, I almost wonder, knowing it could be battle line potentially, I almost wonder if instead of 2 4s of Mournfang, I'd be putting in like 2 Thunder Tusks. But
it is a funny one because people who play the army love them. So, like I said, I've got 3 mates that I can think of at my club that consistently play them and like them. So maybe it's one of those ones that once you've used it a few times, you're like, actually, there's all of this stuff that it's doing, that it's adding to the army that's not apparent from the war scroll or whatever.
Yeah. If it goes
Ben
off
Smith,
and you stack all the stuff on them, then yeah, they can do a lot. Sorry, James.
No, you're right. I was just commenting. Ben Smith in the chat's just saying that he disagrees that Mournfang are great when you can Death Star them with a Huskard. Okay. Moving on, Sons of Behemoth. Bradley Baker coming in from the Western Warriors. Got the Taker Tribe. We got a Kraken Eater, Gatebreaker, War Stomper, and the 3-man Crusher Gargants.
It's one of everything, right? It's the Highlander. The Highlander of Sons, with the 3 individuals, and then the 3 megas. So I think this is what Ash was running originally. So I may have played against this a little bit back in TTS early days. There's Ash, great list. So the incandescent rage blade on the Gatebreaker, obviously for 6s exploding on those 10 attacks. Rend 3, damage 3. It can put work in if you get some good rolls. It can do a lot of damage. And it's just the flexibility. They all have their one thing that they all do that's quite different and unique. And so by taking one of each, I guess you've got the option to do that. I still don't know the intricacies of that book enough, I think, to know which one you target on and which one you try and avoid, or if you just try and avoid them all or what. But I mean, we've said before, this pack as well, there's not loads and loads of objectives, and these Sons of Behemoth standing on an objective and counting as like 20 wounds, 30 wounds potentially.
30 wounds,
if it's not dead, it's gonna be hard to outnumber, and it could just be that turn or two that it ticks over and it's just you don't get the points. I wonder if escalation might hurt them a little bit, just sticking them right at the back of the board, because they're not super fast. Like, they're not the kind of double move, more crusher.
Yeah, I mean, you can't score in turn 1. You can't score in turn 1 in escalation, so they've got 2 turns to get there. But yeah, I certainly agree. This is the sort of this is the sort of Gargant list where you have the most flex, because you can, like, having the 3 big guys be different. It allows you to play in different ways, where sometimes I feel like the lists that have, say, double of the same and then 6-man crushes or whatever, they end up getting 5-man crushes, whatever it is. They sometimes feel a bit more one-dimensional. So I'm interested to see how this one goes. I think if you can win escalation, then as the sort of event kicks on, he's in a good spot with the remaining missions.
And we've got Jonathan Byrne, the Breaker Tribe. So he's got Bode, the Demolisher of Nord, Norgan Godthump, the Clubsmith. He's named all of his giants. He's got Mola Sun Cruncher, Vabo Ironshins, and Drungo, Zong Eater of Dunstag, and Ugar the Bellcracker, Drolga Demon Smasher. Very cool. Love it.
So that's the War Stomper is the one that buffs the Man Crusher Gargants, right? A bit more. He's gone Breaker Tribe and the Idiots with Flags, which means he gets his bonuses against any of the units that have a command model. And yeah, I think is that the War Stomper lets them, like, they can throw their rocks. Is it maybe lets all of the Man Crushers in range throw their rocks? And so he's got six of the Man Crushers, which I'm led to believe are the ones that do the damage. Although, yeah, I've seen a Gatebreaker hit well, and it hits hard.
Breaker Tribe.
Yeah,
Fierce
I mean, what's he
Loathing.
missing? He's basically missing the ability to kick objectives around the board, right?
Yeah, it's +1 damage, +1 damage one. So it makes sense to have 6 Man Crushers if you're getting the +1 damage.
What's the Idiots with Flags? Fierce Loathing
So that's
Idiots with Flags.
Yeah, that's you get. Is it +1 to hit? Against
It's
units
a
that have got
totem,
command model.
or a totem, which I think includes stuff like the War Shrine, avatars, that sort of stuff.
Cool. All right, on the home stretch, guys. Order. Cities of Sigmar. I believe you guys did a show on this.
Yeah, Smorgan's all about his cities, so I'll let him take it away. He probably needs to run through the list, so I'm stalling. Yeah, Alex Murray came to Slaughter last time. Really, really nicely painted cities army with lots of the old classic Dark Elf models, which he's obviously looking to bring again with some additions there.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing
conversions. Yeah,
I don't remember seeing the Demigryph Knights last time. And obviously the K-Knight Shadow Stonkers are new, so it'll be interesting to see what he's done there. But yeah, he's running Hallow Heart, so he's obviously going for the magic heavy build. But then immediately I'm looking at the endless spells, and I've gone, okay, he's not taking Bridge, and he's not taking Portal. So he doesn't.
This is a friendly Hallow Heart list, isn't it? This isn't. Yeah. This is by no means optimized, but I still think it's good. Like Shadow Stalkers are good. 6 demis with the buffs are good. The obviously the Sorceress getting +3 to cast is really good as well. So there's a heap of stuff in this list and the Arcanum, obviously, that there's a heap of stuff in this list that's just good. But it's by no means an optimized Hallow Heart list. And that's something all of his opponents should be happy about. You could have taken 2 30-point wizards in the Hallow Heart battalion, and thankfully he hasn't. I love the Shadow Stalkers. The addition of Shadow Stalkers into City's list is really good. This list doesn't necessarily have that much inherent sort of synergy. Like you're getting +1 to hit from the Arcanum, obviously, and then the Blackguard get +1 to hit from the Sorceress. But there's not like any massive combo stacking here where he's getting, additional to wounds, like in a bubble like you would from Tempest Sigh, or he's not getting like fight twice like you would from Hammerhall. Like this really could be in any of the cities with the selection of models, but I still like it.
Yeah, I think, Alex is in the chat, Muzmang. He says, don't piss on my list. I'm still painting. But yeah, and I think there's something to be said. Like 2 years ago, he was playing basically with cities. I'm honestly trying to think now if the cities book was out 2 years ago or if it was like a mixed order. But yeah, with similar models, and there's something to be said for people that play with the same models and stuff for years. Like you just know what your stuff can do as well. So, I've seen this. I've seen certainly models from this army before, and it's a beautiful army, so I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
Austin Cranfield.
Yeah, so Tempest Eye, and he's taken the Aether Guard Windrunners. So that's the battalion that's got all the Pistoliers and the Outriders in, and comes with the Free Guild General on Griffin. I think it's a really, really good battalion. For all the shooting buffs as well, you get in Tempest Eye. The extra armor save and movement in the first battle round is really good. With that Arcanum, it can keep up. to give the +1 to hit buffs for stuff that's otherwise really fast. The cavalry, which is sometimes quite unique for a buff piece like that to be able to move 13 inches. And then it's also the threat on its mortal wounds as well is not to be ignored. The Azeros in there is a massive buff piece for the army because it's the re-rolling ones to hit against anything that's within 10 of it. And again, it's going to be moving 15 inches turn 1, so it can just move up the board and be on a 2-up save. So making his whole army basically get to reroll ones to hit, and then +1 to wound from the Hawkeye bubble, and then Patrician's Helm is everything ignores battle shock. So that to me though is target number 1. It's the issue. Anything that does mortal wounds, you just put 5 mortal wounds through onto that thing, and his army loses so much.
Oh, you got to do 10 because he's getting the honored retinue as well. So he's passing enough them off on a 4+. But nonetheless, you're right. That's his target number 1, isn't it? Because he's doing 3 things for the army. He's giving them the battle shock immunity, the +1 to wound, and the reroll ones to hit. You really want to get rid of him early.
Yeah, I almost wonder why, given that you have to take the free guild general on the Griffin, why you wouldn't have put something on him. Like maybe you put the ignore battle shock on him, or you make him the general, or one or the other, just because he's also like 13 wounds that would be on a 2-up save or something in the first battle round. You don't want to have to deal with necessarily, because other than like he basically is just the tax in the list for the battalion that doesn't do a lot because he doesn't shoot, and really Tempest Eye wants to shoot. Although he has allied in a gun hauler and 6 riggers. And so the 6 riggers inside Tempest Eye, I think, is really nice. Again, with those buffs to reroll hits, the +1 to wound as well for their pistols is really nice. And then because you've got Aura of Glory on the Arcanum, they go to 2 attacks on those on their saws. So then suddenly they're 2s and 2s rerolling 1s to hit, and Ren 2 damage D3. 2 attacks a model, movement 15 +1 to charge, with a 3-up save in the first round.
I mean, you can just teleport them away and guarantee an 8-inch charge as well. They're a really great unit. Like they are just a threat in so many different ways. They can go and threaten objectives through the teleport with the gun hauler. They can shoot and do damage, and they can do damage in combat. So I love that. I love that little addition to the list.
Yep. I've played Austin right at the start, I think back at last March at the one day, or I think at Hall of Heroes, with Tempest Eye with the Windrunners. He didn't have the gun hauler and the engine riggers. He had like multiple Scourge Runner chariots. And I was playing Seraphon with 5 bound endless spells before they got rid of them. Double slan, summoning, and everything. And that game basically, like, that was a turn 3 kind of priority. I think it was super bloody. If I got it and I took off the rest of his stuff, but if he'd got it, I think he would finish shooting the shit out of me. So it can do a huge amount of output as well, just because it's so consistent and volume of shots. Like the Pistoliers getting to shoot when they charge. It's really good. Like the volume they get for their points and how maneuverable they are is super good. I think it's a really cool battalion and city. And it's nice it's still very much shooting because all those models shoot, but it has the combat as well, which I quite like because you're trying to charge the Pistoliers in so you can shoot again. But yeah, you've got the riggers for combat. You can chuck the Griffin in for combat. Like, yeah, I really like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, Braden Graw coming back again from representing the D3 Mortal Wound boys again. Hello, Heart.
This is starting to get a little less friendly.
I was going to say, yeah, look at all that.
So yeah, he's got double battle mage Arcanum and a Luminarch, then 2 battle mages on foot, then the free guild general. So he's got his great swords, and then he's got 30 handgunners, and he's got the battalion and an extra CP. Interesting, he's not taken the bridge, when I think he could have just maybe dropped off one of those battle mages. to put the bridge in, for example. Given it definitely looks like he's gone for the super buff handgun shooting to put the general in as well. He obviously wants the +1 to hit and wound on those great swords and handgunners. And I think having bridge in such a magic dominant army like Hallowheart, where you essentially can almost guarantee the casts for just repositioning huge chunks of your army, is interesting. So I think nice for his opponents. He's not gotten the full optimized Hallowheart. But that being said, he has got 5 wizards that all double cast with loads of pluses to cast, and he can just push out spells like Elemental Cyclone, Roaming Wildfire, Warding Brand is really nice on the Free Guild Greatswords as well. Ignite Weapons is really nice on the Greatswords. Crystal Aegis, again, to just make his army ignore enemy spells on a 4-up. And then double Hurricanum for mortal wounds, plus the Luminarch for mortal wounds. The whole army's getting a 6-up after save from the Luminarch. It's all getting the bonuses to Unbind as well from the Luminarch. Yeah, it's good. And Braden's been playing cities for a good few years as well. I think playing with multiple Hurricanums and the great swords and handgunners and stuff. So he's definitely familiar with kind of his army and his models and what he's doing. He's been using them for a long time.
I love this list. It's so strong. It's really cool.
Yeah. He's not taken the portal either, which is another thing where he's not super, like, he hasn't gone full optimization, because I think portal in cities is just gross when you can chuck stuff like the Hurricanum's spell plus what is it, Elemental Cyclone, and the Hurricanum spell are basically the same spell twice. So D3 mortal wounds, and then everything within 6.
The bubble, another
D3, yeah, and then Roaming Wildfire, just half a horde. It's just like, oh, you had bodies? No, now you have half of the bodies. Just anywhere on the board. Just that portal power. So yeah, again, nice for his opponents that he hasn't taken it.
We got Josh Meatyard with a Living City. So Anointed, a Rune Lord, Drycha Hammerdreth, Freegal Guard, Phoenix Guard, Liberators, Iron Drakes, Kernel Hunters.
This is great. So half the stuff starts off the board here, and then anything that can shoot can move after it shoots if there's no units nearby. So Drycha and the Iron Drakes are the obvious sort of choices there. The problem with the Iron Drakes is that you need to buff them in the hero phase, and they come on in the movement phase. But notwithstanding that, I still think they're a really nice candidate to start off the board. And then 30 Phoenix Guard is always good. So you've got this big block, right, of Phoenix Guard that are immune to battle shock, 4-up after save, 4-up save. It's just so many bodies as well, like 30 Phoenix Guard, 30 Iron Drakes, and then the Hunters. I mean, Hunters are probably suboptimal when you compare them to units in the Cities book, but I think that they're still a unit that can do a lot of damage with the scythes. And being able to protect them by starting them off the board is obviously really useful as well. And then there's inherent healing just in the Cities army. So you got Life Surge, and you also just heal a wound a turn as well. So I really like it. Is the Wardroth Horn the +1 attack?
Yep.
+1 attack for a Sylvaneth unit. Yeah, so that could be really useful on the Kernoth as well. There's lots of nice little combo buffs in here.
Yeah, the other thing as well with those 6 sides is their 2-inch reach being behind Phoenix Guard on 25 mils, is he can have Phoenix Guard as like 15 Phoenix Guard in 2 ranks with the 6 sides behind, and the sides can still hit, and all of the Phoenix Guard can probably hit. So he's got like Phoenix Guard do loads of attacks on like 3s and 3s potentially with rerolls on the wounds and at Rend 1, but then he's got the sides when he just needs that extra kind of oomph for Rend 2 D3 to go in. But also the comment around the Iron Drakes is normally like you want them on the table for all the buffs, and he does have the Rune Lord to give them maybe the extra pip of Rend, but he hasn't actually invested points in taking like a Hurricanum and all of the other buff pieces that would normally go behind the Iron Drakes. So he kind of doesn't care if he does bring them on from the side one turn, shoots, then gets to move on to an objective anyway. When he's also got the threat of, he's got the Phoenix Guard sitting on the board. He's got the Hunters, like you say, he can either take off or leave on. He's got Drycher, who can come on and be really useful, like just annoying. Because she moves 9, so she can come on 9 away and move definitely to 3 away. And then like do some good work with her shooting attack as well. And then once those Iron Drakes are on the table, if he brings the Rune Lord on with them, next turn he can buff them up as well. And yeah, just 10 libs, like just like it's not a bad shout for 180 points for 20 wounds on a 4-up re-rolling ones. Could just drop them into cover or whatever he wants to do, or just be a meat shield on the table as a unit.
They're just nice little objective protectors, aren't they? Because you can't send a chaff unit in to go and kill them. Like if you send 9 Shadow Stalkers into 10 libs, he's probably going to end up sort
losing
of
your Shadow Stalkers.
Yeah, still holding the objective, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't think it's optimized, but I think it's cool. I think it's interesting to see a cities list without a Arcanum.
Yeah, me too.
As well. And it's kind of cool to see what you get when you leave the Arcanum at home. Like the 30 Phoenix Guard and the 30 Iron Drakes and 6 Kurnoths. Like, it's probably Drycher or the Arcanum in that list, I guess. Or you leave the Hunters at home. But I'd like to see how he plays the Hunters. I think sitting the 6 Hunters behind those Phoenix Guard could actually be really interesting as well.
Matt Campbell, Clan Filth. So he's taking Tempest Star list as well.
Yeah, so this is very similar to Austin's list. But he's gone...
It's safer. It's way safer.
Yeah.
Because he's not invested everything in the Azeroth. He's got the Aura of Glories on a Battle Mage and Griffin, so that thing can move around. It can fight little chaff units, right? But it's more survivable than an Azeroth. What's it got, like 13 wounds?
Yeah.
The Hurricanum, I should say, is the is what's got the Hawkeye, so that's still fast enough to move around. And then the Aura of Glory is coming from the Battle Mage, and he's gone with 2 gun haulers, which I think ultimately is probably better. And then with the Sky Cannon rather than the Drill Cannon for more utility. So I really like this list. I don't know if Matt's been playing much Sigma or not, but he's obviously done really well in the past with his Khorne list. So I'd anticipate that he's going to be right up the top there.
Yeah, he's been playing. I know he's been getting games on the table with this list as well as he's been painting it. He obviously just went to the most recent Brizhammer as well, only a couple of months ago in terms of tournament play. It was with his Khorne, but he's been at tournaments recently. So yeah, he's definitely still in the game. So yeah, I'll be expecting Matt to do well. And obviously, yeah, he won last time. So yeah, eyes on Matt.
Defending champion. Daughters of Cain. But Dane Thompson from Scrubhammer.
So Keltnar is the retreat and charge one, which I think is my favorite. I don't know that it's the best, but I think it's my favorite. And he's I
think it's the best if you take Marathi.
Yeah, because it enables you to retreat and charge, and then with the monster, that's probably one way that people can mitigate her damage is just by pinning her into a combat that they don't care if they lose the units, so they can chaff her up. Obviously, Marathi's gone with the Mind Razor, so if it goes, it's cast on an 8 nowadays, but if it goes, it's a massive force multiplier. The Hag Queen and then the Iron Scale being the general, so that he can get the Blood Sisters and Blood Stalkers in there as battle line. And in this sub-faction, you get a free unit of Harpies as well, and there's no restriction on when they come down. So for me, that's just an amazing unit. He's gone with the 10 Sisters and then the 15 Stalkers from the Snakes. And the Life Takers are a really interesting choice now as well, because you can deploy them on the board, get Catechism of Murder up, get Mind Razor potentially up, and the damage that they put out for the points is just phenomenal, like 160 points for 10 of them. I really like this list. I think double shooting it's probably one of the strongest builds in the game at the moment. When it's built around the shooty snakes, and it's paired with the battalion and all of that sort of stuff. But even without that additional layer, this is still a really, really strong army.
Yeah, and I think making the Stalkers battle line as well, given that we're playing escalation, just means like in that mission he can put them on the only being like 9 away line. So if his opponent obviously wants to any of their battle line that they want to get to the middle, he knows his unit that does the hero phase damage, he can drop in range and just be like, turn 1, if you're deploying somewhere where you want to get to the middle objectives or be pushing up for them, I'm going to be able to hero phase shoot you. Which I think it is going to be a difference in this pack between having them as battle line or just having them in the army.
I love this list.
I don't know if that was an intentional choice or not, but I think it will definitely help him in that mission.
Liam Burnett Blue, the Snake King from Clan Filth. I think he's in the chat. Yep, there he is.
Yeah, so we've got another Keltnar, very similar list, really. The Iron Scale General, same, obviously, the trait and the artifact, and then Shadow Queen, Marathi with Mind Razor. And then he's gone more into the snakes. So basically, the points that Dane spent on the Harpies, Liam's invested into a big block of Blood Sisters, and then he's put in the Viperic Guard. So he gets the extra once per game command ability he can do for free, which is really good because he can make use of those extra command points, because obviously you can only do Marathi's double shoot or double fight once. And so the fact he's got a battalion and that battalion lets him do an extra command ability, he's essentially got 3 up his sleeve from turn 1, but he can only use 1 a turn for double shoot, double fight. But then that's where you come in with the Iron Scale, having the 2d6 run and charge. So investing heavily on 20 Blood Sisters, especially when Shadow Queen gives them all +1 attack in combat, if she's wholly within 18 of them, which is massive. Like, it's so easy to be in range of her buff, given how aggressive she is as well in Keltnar with retreat charge and not physically being able to die until the end of 4 turns. It's horrible. Like, I've played a game against this list, I think with my Feck, a while ago, and it just ruined me. Like, it completely ruined me. There was nothing I could, like, there was just no good target. Yeah. And it was like, if I give him the turn, he just comes and kills me. And anything I go and kill, he'll just come and kill the rest of my army.
I mean, I played against this list at the last event, and it was terrifying. It just every single element of it, it adds significant value to the list, right? I think Viperic Guard is the right call. If Liam wants to win the event, he more likely than not, in theory, has to get through Lumineth at some point. And I think Techless forcing your command points to be double points means that the Viperic Guard battalion just becomes invaluable, because you don't use command points, just you do it for free. And getting the double shoot against Techless, and then being able to protect for battle shock, or then being able to do a 2d6 run or whatever it might be, is just massive, absolutely massive. And I think I would expect Liam to be on the top tables with this.
Oh, no pressure, Liam. All the pressure, all of it. And yeah, obviously the Hag as well. That's the difference in his heroes. He's got the Hag to chuck in the Iron Circlet for making his prayers more reliable, and he's gone for Catechism to just make those 20 Blood Sisters or whatever hit even harder when they need to, or Shadow Queen. Like, exploding 6s is good.
Pete Bickford from another D3 Mortal Wounds chap.
Keltnar again. But no Marathi, no Shadow Queen. So this is a very fundamentally different list.
Yeah. It's got a couple of Cauldrons of Blood, Bloodrack Shrine, Melissa Iron Scale. So
I think that's what happens when you don't take Marathi, is you see all the Cauldrons and you see the Bloodrack Shrines, because, I mean, that is 600 points. Double Cauldron and Bloodrack Shrine is 600. So everything else you can have the same list. but yeah, I mean the cauldrons can still hit really hard. The retreat and charge is really nice on them as well, because I think once they get to the mid table, every time they charge on a 2-up, they do D3 mortal wounds. So having 3 of them, just retreating and charging, they'll just start stacking up extra mortals. Obviously, the cauldron's going to give his army +1 save in a bubble, and having 2 of them is quite nice. So if one of them gets wounded, and if they're being used to overlap, you're going to have to shrink both of them, or otherwise you're still going to get it, or it lets the army split in half, which if you look how it's built, it very much looks like it probably is going to split in half, with 10 blood sisters, 5 stalkers, 20 sisters, and then the same but 20 witch elves, each backed up by a cauldron. Yeah, it's obviously got a lot more bodies, and it's still Keltnar, so everything can retreat and charge. So I think those blood sisters with retreat and charge is really nice as well, being able to, especially for just getting into backfield little characters with their crystal touch. If they retreat, charge into something where they're putting all of their attacks into a unit, but they get within 2.9 inches of a little foot hero, and then they just put all their attacks into the unit and then crystal touch the foot hero and just kill them. I think it's going to be hard to kind of defend against all of those different units just retreating and charging, like 20 witch elves, 20 sisters, all of it. I don't know, Sam. What do you think? Stronger the Marathi builds, or maybe
Marathi at the moment is, I think, a lot stronger, but not like everything in the Daughters book is good. It's such a good book now. It's in such a great spot. I think Triple Tower is still really good. I think Liam's list is the best of the Daughters lists, but all of the Daughters lists are quite strong.
Yeah, agree. I'll be keen to see how Pete's goes in particular, because it's the most different, I think, to what I've typically seen.
Yeah. Moving on to Idoneth. So Ben from the Lords of Ruin is bringing the Thuthan Enclave, Ishari Tide Spume, Isharan Tidecaster. We've got the Island of Mathalam, Aspect of the Storm. We've got a Anvil's Hero, Nioneer Storm Driver. Hope I got that right.
I think so.
Thralls, Morsar Guard, Ishalan, and Alapexes. And a Leviathan. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and all wrapped up into the Akalian Corpse.
Yeah.
To just help lower his drops, which is, I think, good for Deepkin. From my experience playing them, they want to, most of the time, I think, be able to give away first turn. A lot of the time, they don't necessarily have a super effective first turn. So, especially probably in this type of list where he's not got just like 3 3s of Ishlane, for example, where you would just want to go, okay, fine, I'll push them up. They're defensive. Any shooting has to go against them. I've claimed the objectives. Like, I'm happy. I've gained positioning. I don't think this list does that as much. Obviously, he's got those 2 Alapexes in with net launchers for the anti-pile-in shenanigans. Interesting choice of artifacts, I think, putting the Cloud of Midnight onto the Tidecaster and not the Eidolon, and giving the Eidolon the plate. But at the same time, the Cloud does its job. Most of the time, you just put that model into a position where it's the closest, and you're just like, cool, that's a whole round of shooting gone. But he's slower, and he's obviously not appearing from a board edge, and he's only 5 wounds, so hero phase mortal wounds potentially can deal with him. Whereas, yeah, normally you typically see if you've got the Eidolon, he's coming with the cloak. So that is interesting. And then what's he in terms of his tech from his Archmage? He's gone for
the Ren 1 spell, which is obviously really good. And what Lore of the Deep did he take? Because there's some good spells in there as well. Or is he not? He's not chosen
He's actually not chosen it on here, is he? No. He's got Arcane Corrasion on the Tidecaster though, which is that the one where it's based on distance between
if
the
you're
model
like
and
40
the enemy
inches
unit.
away, it's amazing or something.
Yeah. But it can only target the closest model, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's something like that. You should deploy him at the back corner.
Yeah.
I like the Tidecaster. It's a really interesting book because there's a heap of units where it's like in other books, like Thralls as an example, like in other books, you might say, oh, that's a really interesting battle line unit. But just if your choice is between them and the eels, and you're trying to run the strongest list, it's it sort of pushes you down a particular direction, right?
Yeah. Oh, and I've just realised actually he's playing Futhan with a Tidecaster General, so he's probably going for a Flip the Tides build.
Yep.
Which means actually he probably will be quite happy to go first and get stuck in, because he's going to be, the whole army is going to be run and charge turn 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then fight first turn 2, and then run and charge again turn 3. So yeah, and if his Leviathan's obviously going to give those, he's only 3, which is probably why he's not invested in so much, but +1 save anyway. And then if they charge, they get another +1 save. So they can sit on a 2+ unrenderable save anyway if he's charging. Like, he can run and charge turn 1, so he can potentially just run them 20 inches and still charge anyway for a 2+ unrenderable save turn 1 into combat. Just lock stuff down. So yeah, no, it's cool.
Joel Einstein, so with their Dom Hain Enclave. Volturnos, Eidolon, Aspect of the Storm, Eels, and Thralls. We've got some Alapexes in there as well, and another Leviathan. I suppose that wrapped up in the Achillean core as well.
Yeah, I think this is a very strong list. Volty, everyone knows what Volty does. The Eidolon with the cloud. I think taking Eidolon and Leviathan and Volty in a list now is just disgusting, quite frankly. If you're taking all the eels, because basically everything gets like +1 to hit, +1 to wound, reroll 1s to hit. Even just the Ish lane become a nightmare to deal with. Everything just gets to 2s, like to hit, to wound. With rerolls, it's 2+ saves, like ignoring rend. He's got the double shark, just be annoying with the net launchers. 6 more so when he just needs the punch. And just fitting in that that Achillean corpse as well now. So it gives him an extra CP for Volty if he wants to just go super spam. I think it's super good. It's nice to see that, like, he's got 10 Thralls in there. I think just he probably didn't quite have the points for an extra unit of eels, but exact points left over for that 4th battle line. And 10 Thralls, if it gets to turn 3 and someone's left the Thralls alive around the turtle, Volty can just spam them and they'll do a lot of work as well. So yeah, I'd be expecting this to do really well. And Dom Hain's obviously the one that really benefits the eels, right? All the mounts get the reroll wounds, or it gets to reroll against monsters. Is that right?
But Jordan Goodchild, D3 Mortal wins. What's up, Jordan? The Dom Hain list, the Achillean King, Aspect of the Sea this time with Soul Scryer, Tidecaster. Got the Ishlan Guard, Morsa Guard, Thralls, Alapexes, Namati Reavers, and some Aetherwings in there too.
Yeah, and then putting in Geminids and coming in at 1970. Yeah, it's very much a very mixed, probably a bag of tools, a tool chest army in what he's got. Like, not taking Volty, he's obviously gone, no, I'm not going to bother trying to do the whole get to turn 3 and kill everything. Just like take the king so he can obviously have his eels for battle line. And the king's still decent. I think he can put the cloud on him. The -1 to hit from the Void Chill is nice. The Born from Agony is +2 wounds on him. Taking the Eidolon as well for the caster is different rather than the Storm. It's going to boost his bravery, obviously, across the army. I think it gives +3 bravery in a bubble. So he's not going to be anywhere near as susceptible to battle shock. And then, Pressure of the Deep is the one where he can pick a model, right? I think it's only like a 6-inch range or something, but I think he can pick a model and kill it. So he's got the potential ability to target models, break coherency, etc. Soul Scry can obviously take stuff off the table if he wants to. And yeah, just Ether Wings to be annoying as the closest unit that has to get shot. Putting Geminids in with the Eidolon, because the Eidolon's got the D6 units -1 to hit spell, right?
Mm-hmm. And the Tidecaster's -1 to hit as well.
Yeah. So stacking the Geminids in potentially with the Eidolon spell. Like the Eidolon's a good caster, I think, for those Geminids, because he can get the rerolls to cast from if he can cast one of his rituals. Just 2 sharks to shoot nets, some reavers to add some shots. There's less synergy, but there's more tools, I think, available. But yeah, I don't know. I've seen the combat Eidolon and the turtle work together, and just what that does to the army is horrific. So I think they're probably stronger than this one. But also I think this is quite cool just to see the mixed list, and it's definitely something very different as well. So it'll be cool to see how Jordan goes.
Mm-hmm. Kent, how? Another Futhan Enclave?
Yeah, that Achelian Corpse battalion again.
Yeah.
It's definitely become the pick, because Deepkin didn't really used to take battalions much, did they? Before, I don't think you saw them super often, whereas now that Achelian Corpse seems to just kind of go into a lot of the lists. I think just because you want to take a turtle and 2 units of eels and some sharks, it's just you're taking everything you want, and it's 100 points to lower your drops and get the artifact and everything. The Tidecaster in Fuethan, but not the general. Interesting.
Because you want to buff that turtle, right? You want to buff the turtle. You want to buff three Alapexes in combat. It's pretty good, and then 6 Borsar Guard. So like there's enough choices there that you still want Volty to be buffing them all up.
Yep. Yeah, and interesting, he's gone Savage Ferocity as well on Volty, not the Void Chill. So he's going full aggro, I think.
Yeah, nice.
Michael Penny.
Oh man, there's like there is a million items.
There's a lot of Deepkin. I think it's the joint highest faction, if not the highest.
Sure.
But yeah, so we've got Penne from the Cockatrice Lodge, and speaking of going full aggro, Gotrek in Iron Rack with 15 Morsar.
I think I've played this list before, actually, at Sydney GT.
Oh, this is where he just took off Nagash turn 1, didn't he?
Yeah. I was devastated. It was so funny.
So yeah, obviously Iron Rack, probably the best army for Gotrek to go into. Getting the Tide's abilities on Gotrek just makes him a lot better. Like run and charge from turn 2 just gets him where he needs to then start fighting. And then fighting first as soon as he's in from round 3. I mean, 9 Morsar and 6 Morsar are still gross. Interesting, like, use of the Purple Sun and the Tidecaster. I think that's quite different. I wonder if the Purple Sun is in there as maybe an anti. I was going to say almost like an anti Deepkin, like Ishlane spam piece. Although, to be honest, I think the Morsar with their taking 15 of them with their electric shocks is probably enough to help you get through Ishlane anyway. And yeah, obviously just 1 Alapex, and he's gone for the harpoons, not the net, which is interesting. I wonder if that's actually didn't select it on the list and it defaults to the harpoon, but we'll see. And yeah, he's obviously got the cloud on the king.
Okay. Got Robert Kern from Lords of Ruin. Another Futhan.
I'm just waiting for you to see it. four
there it is. Yep.
four Leviathans. We've
The
got
Ninja Turtles.
Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael.
Oh, that's brilliant.
This is a list he's played multiple times before, right? The four turtles, we've seen it on the table before, I think, which is just cool. And turtles are good now. Like, they do what, D6 mortal wounds on a 2-up when they charge against stuff that's not a monster now, or is it stuff that's 1 wound? Anyway, they do a lot of mortal wounds on the charge, and like their jaws and their fins are all flat damage with high rend, pretty reliable. So having 4 of them, I mean, 1, it's gonna look cool, and 2, like, it's gonna hit hard. I just think the issue ultimately is going to be the bodies where he's going to come unstuck. Just having 2 10s of Thralls and a 10 of Reavers. Like, yes, he can protect them with those turtles and the fact that Deepkin, he can protect them against shooting. But yeah, once stuff gets into them, they are still going to die pretty quickly. What's he taken on his Anvil's hero as well? Kaidir, Imbailer of the Leaden Choir. He's got the Curse of Damnation for the Rend, the Archmage, and then a few pips of extra armor just to make him a bit more survivable.
With Tom Kelly.
So much Deepkin. Another Fwaythan. But this is Volti and a Soul Scryer. And then, kind of more towards the, I guess, more typical MSU Morsar build. 4x3 plus a 6, just for if he can get Volti in for turn 3, stacking. Couple of Sharks. But again, with Razor Shells rather than nets is interesting. Although I've seen a lot more people starting to use the Razor Shells and like seeing them on the turtles as well, just for volume of shots. Starts stacking up, doesn't it? Well, they're 4 shots each that are like 3s and 3s of rend. And I think Volti naturally gives a reroll 1s to hit for them in shooting and combat. So it's not bad for just racking up some shots. And he's got more bodies. He's got the 30 kind of bodies plus 20 eels. No, 18 eels. So yeah, I mean, MSU Morsar is really good.
Really strong.
Right?
Super
You've played MSU Morsar at tourney before, haven't you, Smorgan?
No, I've only played it in friendlies. And it's always just tables your opponent. Like it's it's super, super good. I don't know though. If I'm running 3s, I'd probably do want the net launchers. The harpoons are good because it's 24 inches and they've got movement 14 to begin with, so it's like an effective 38-inch threat range. But I just think the combination of nets and 3s is super good.
Yeah, I think it plays into their strengths, right? But
we did it. We made it out of the Idaho.
We're out of the sea.
We're now into the air. So, Ethan McDonald from the Cockatrice Lodge, Barack Obaz, Chemist Navigator, some Gun Haulers, Skywardens, Thunderers, Ironclad, and the Escort Wing.
And a Vortex.
With the Warp Lightning Vortex. That's from the spell in the bottle, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm.
I think this is a really good list. The only issue is the battle line for shifting with his bodies. Like, it maybe doesn't matter if he can, because he can claim it with any bodies as long as he's got a battle line unit there. So the fact that the gun haulers can just fly around and teleport, etc., can help him just put a body where it needs to be in terms of getting that extra battle line point. Gun haulers are really good for their points anyway, and they've all got the sky cannons, which I think is the better choice, just for the damage potential and flexibility in terms of if you need the extra range or the rend or whatever. Bit light on in the heroes, but that being said, taking Urbaz means that it dictates one of his first botefact rather than artifact. So he's free to take the 2 great artifacts in Deepkin cheaply. So he's got Deepkin. What am I on about? Sorry, saw too many eels. He's got the 2 great artifacts in KO with Spell in a Bottle for the Vortex, and then obviously the Illuminator Flare Pistol for that once per game. Just your entire army can reroll hit rolls against a target as long as the nav hits, which is usually pretty likely. He's probably 3s rerolling 1s with 2 shots. He's just got to get a hit. The 12 Wardens is nice as well. Interesting that their Wardens are not Riggers, though, given that he's in Urbaz and not... is it Zon? I think Zon's the one that's good for Wardens. But having the 12 means he gets a share on them. And Urbaz, he gets D3 of his units get an extra share at the start of the game. And then once per game, when one of his units fights in combat, he gets an extra share. So those 12 Wardens can they can burn through their shares. Like, if he wants to really go into them, they have one to start with. He can give them another one to start with. And then as soon as he fights with them in combat, he can get another one. So they can be using them to reroll. Like, he can use his flare, turn 1, hit something, use their share to reroll the wounds on all their shooting. Then they can go into combat and use the share to reroll their hits or their wounds. And then they can earn another share back and still have it defensively to reroll their saves. The 10 Thunderers sitting in the Ironclad as well is nice, because he doesn't need to take the buoyancy aid on the Ironclad, so he can take the last word. So if it gets charged, he can shoot with it. Personally, I really like the Ramclad. Doing the mortal wounds when you charge him with it and playing it super aggressively to get onto objectives is really nice with the Skyhook. But I do also see the last word as just being great. Just getting to shoot again when you get charged is super nice for your shooting output. And having the 10 Thunderers is good as well, so they'll get a share. So they're just hard to get through in that boat as well, right? You've got 20 wounds sitting on a 3-up save that's -1 to hit. Just innately in the Ironclad moving around the board. And again, if he wants to, he can use a share on them first shooting phase or whenever he wants to pop the flare pistol with the Navigator, and they can reroll hits and wounds. The Ironclad can do the same thing. Obviously, he can only use 1 share per phase, but he's got so many options in terms of what he wants to do. And then the Escort Wing as well, which the Ironclad and the Thunderers and Gun Haulers are all sitting in, means each shooting phase he can just choose a unit to reroll 1s to hit against as well. So he can, with the Ironclad, he can go, okay, well, I'll be 3s reroll 1s without needing the flare pistol, and then I can use my share to reroll my wounds or whatever he wants to do, or just save it defensively. So I think it's really good. There's not a lot of there's not really any chaff in here. Like, everything he's taken is super optimal, and so he's light on battle line and he's light on his leaders, but everything he's taken is good, like, and serves a specific purpose. The only thing is just the throwaway 3 Wardens, I think. That's my read of the list anyway. I think just coming off playing KO for my last event and playing Urbaz with Gun Haulers and stuff. I know what it can do, and I think the 12 Wardens is the thing I'm interested to see how they go, and I want to know if he, at the end of the event, wishes they were riggers. But we'll see. Do you have any thoughts?
No, you did brilliantly carrying that one, Chris.
All right. Into the Lumineth Realm Lords.
Here you go, Smorgan. You can dog on the 2 non-good Realm Lords lists.
There's only 2 lists. I didn't like them. Whatever they were doing. This one's got so much tech in it. It's Sire, but he's got the wind charges in there. Isn't that interesting? So Severeth being able to move in both players' turns and being able to destroy faction terrain, but also coming in at 300 points and only being 10 wounds or 12 wounds or whatever he is a really interesting piece for me. You can either deal with Severeth or you can't. And I think some of the criticism of his War Scroll in terms of being overpowered, I think is unwarranted. And I think once Lumineth players have played a few games with him, they'll be letting you know that, he does, if he does get caught, he dives. The Cathalars are obviously still brilliant. And he's taken the good battalion, the Bendigo Legion. I've definitely said that wrong. Bendigo Legion. I actually prefer more Wardens if you can squeeze them in. I feel like a 20 block of Wardens is a really brilliant unit. Obviously, because he's gone the double battalion, that's not possible. Yep. What do you reckon, Chris? This is a non-techless build.
I don't know enough about the new, like the Wind Chargers and the Wind Mage.
Yeah.
In that temple with Sire.
Yeah, Sire's an interesting choice.
Yeah, like I know the play that people have been using in aluminium, where they move away, where they go in and then they move away and they basically just delete screens at no risk, and they're just like, cool, we're back over here 24 inches away now or whatever. But yeah, I know they've obviously got their 6-inch piling in any direction, etc.
Yeah.
They
always count as charging in the battalion as well, which obviously is brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. They're 2 wounds each with a 5-up save, and they're only units of 5. I just think you kill them.
Yep,
and
I
it's
agree.
it's like cool. You can pile in 6 inches any way you want. You're dead. Like I don't think they're tanky enough, because obviously they're not getting the innate minuses to hit for Shining Company. Because they're not from Twilight, so they don't get that. They're just
super maneuverable, but equally very, very easy.
I think you
to
just
kill
kill
if
them.
You've got the tools. The thing in this list that I really like is the Law Seeker. So I've been playing with the Law Seeker a bit, and it's a brilliant unit. It affects the way your opponent deploys. And there's some scenarios where it's able to get objectives, and that your opponent can't really do anything about it. And then it's incredibly difficult for them to start scoring there. So that's a piece of tech that I think is really strong. And most Lumineth lists can't squeeze in because they take techless, and then that's, a third of their army gone and points become really tight. But in a list like this where you haven't taken techless, it does open up stuff like the Law Seeker.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the difference, right? Is you've got Severus, the Wind Mage, and Law Seeker, and you've still got 80 points left, without taking techless. But I just know as well, like the people that have taken techless, and I mean, Sean Bates just coming off New Zealand Masters win, just saying that techless is the thing in his list that makes the list work, because he just does everything with the new
third
book,
spell board,
the 18 spells, and just. You just control the game because techless can do what you need him to do. And so I still don't know with Lumineth if I'm on the side of you need techless or you don't. And I think you don't need him. I think you can do lists around him, but I think it's harder to do a list without him in terms of like really making sure the list works and is, I guess, as consistent into certain matchups. Whereas I think techless, like into the Seraphon matchup, I think techless helps you maybe out magic like Croak and stuff like that. I think the fact he just has the auto unbind of the key spell you need to stop, and when he needs to punt through,
stopping the magic as well. He brings so much to the army. I'm firmly in the you need techless camp, and this is to make the optimal list, right? This isn't saying that there's not very strong Lumineth lists without techless. There clearly is. But yeah, one of my mates plays Lumineth sort of exclusively, and I play against him a bit. And if he turns up and he doesn't have techless, I feel a lot more comfortable.
But it's funny because I completely agree, though. Everyone's saying Severus is the most busted thing ever. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Michael Thompson.
There you go. Speaking of techless.
I know he's lurking in the chat somewhere.
I think this is much closer to what we've seen typically in terms of like just Wardens and Sentinels with techless and a Cathalar, but he's not taken the Legion and he's taken an extra Cathalar, which I think is really smart because the Cathalar's stuff that it brings is incredible in terms of just ignoring. It's not even just ignoring freaking Battle Shock; it's passing it over, which is 5 times stronger.
Mhm.
You're not spending CP, and like, yes, there's the risk that you roll a 1, but like, that ability on them is amazing, and it also means they become target number 1, which in a way is great because then it means your opponent's not trying to kill Teclis, and you want Teclis alive. Because
Yeah, this is really
I think
good.
they
When I
almost
said
look
earlier,
at,
there's no good Lumineth list, so I was categorically wrong. It just is like this is super strong. I just saw that it didn't have the battalion. I was like, oh, they haven't taken the battalion, but the stuff that they've traded, I think on balance, it's not going to be an issue at this tournament. There's no 1-drops out there that are going to, outdrop them and beat them on that basis.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I'm not sure if we've seen a 1-drop. This is obviously way
We
more
had
than
the 2-drop
but-
change host,
Yeah.
which would have been a roll off if you took the standard build. But I like this.
Yeah, I think putting Geminids in and the spell portal just lets him up the magic output when he needs it, because he's got the auto unbind each turn if he wants to just recall the Geminids and reping them out if the portal is either already in position or he doesn't need it because he's been a bit aggressive with Teclis and set him up. And yeah, he's still got 40. Oh no, he's only got 20 Sentinels and he's gone for 50 Wardens, which again I think is nice, having 2 20s of Wardens.
Yeah, I agree. That's like the criticism of the previous list is that I wanted them to swap the numbers around, and then protection of Teclis when you've got 70 models. It sort of makes protection of Teclis an even stronger spell when it already is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're looking at he can basically almost guarantee that spell, and well, he can, right? He can cast it on a spell that can't be unbound. So if he really needs to, he can make his 96 wounds be like 130, right? Which immediately it's like, cool, 130. It's all shiny, so it's -1. He's got Geminids he can just ping out to make his opponent -1. So his whole army's like almost whole army is -2. Yeah, he's got all the tricks with the double Cathalar as well for making people have to roll against bravery before they can do anything. Double command point, like double CP for spending command
just awesome.
point.
It's just like 20 options. Every hero phase has got however many spells he wants to cast, and then just a shopping list of choices. I think it's him, Ash, Liam, and Joel are the 4 standout lists so far. So the pressure's on those guys.
Liam will love that. More pressure.
Surf on Joshua Vebert from Scrubhammer.
I'm getting good vibes from this guy. Yeah.
Croak's coming out.
Double Star Priest with a priest, double Slan.
Jesus, it's just awful, isn't it? Just like the destroyer of fun.
Well, not necessarily. Although, yeah, no, he's got the Serpent God Dagger, so that should be listed as that he's Fangs. Because, yeah, he is Fangs of Sotek. Which, yeah, with 30 skinks, with the Star Priests and stuff, you would be. And, yeah, double Slan for getting more summoning points. And then 10 camo skinks and 2 salamanders, I think is nice. The Basti's the interesting choice, I think, for going into Fangs. But still useful. Just, you can't double shoot it, but at the same time, it's also just a model that sits there with a 1-up save that's unrenderable until it's taken some wounds. That does have a 29-inch threat. Or no, first turn it's 32, right? Because it's got the skink keyword, so he can move it an extra 3 on the first turn. So he's still got that 32-inch threat, and he's got a lot of CP generation in this list as well. So he can give it the +1 to hit. He can give the camos the +1 to hit. He can give the salamanders +1 to hit. Like, everything in this army is good. The spells he's picked on his Star Priests are interesting. Like doubling down on the Fiery Convocation, I think is interesting. Normally, you'd see Hand of Glory and Celestial Harmony just to save you on CP for rerolling ones to hit and Battle Shock. So yeah, that's a bit different. But yeah, otherwise 2 10s of skinks, just as extra screens and little units, Croaks, bodyguards. But yeah, it's cool. He's got options. The camo skinks are good. It's just it's Seraphon Fangs with Croak, a good unit of skinks plus camos, and it's a strong list.
Heading right. Coatl's Claw.
Yeah, Coatl. So he's obviously going into the Saurus build. In terms of -1 damage across the whole army, which can't be underestimated. He'll love playing the Iron Jaws players and just ignoring their War Chanters. And then, I mean, he's got, 20 knights. And, Stegodon. The bow's not bad. 3 shots. Flat damage 3 is quite good. Double Carnosaur. That Eviscerating Blade can actually put in a lot of work if he gets the 6s exploding. And each 6 to hit is doing 2 mortal wounds as well. It's cool. It's much more MSU. He's not gone for any kind of Death Star buff stacking, which he could do by taking the Old Blood and the Scarvet. In terms of stacking the pluses to hit, or he'll get pluses to hit from Coatl from charging anyway. And then he's taken the Starseer as well, normally for the 3d6 charge. So, and he's got the Firelance Temple Host, which... I'm trying to think. In Coatl's, I think is just the one that gives you +3 to charge rather than doing the mortals. Can't remember which way around, but I think it's the bonuses to charge rather than doing the mortals. Seraphon are good. It's in no way as optimized as the Fangs list at all. And it doesn't have Croak in it. So, James, any thoughts?
No. Sorry.
I think we're flagging. I think we're nearly there.
Scott Batchelor from Scrubhammer.
Yeah, so interesting Draco's Tail. So we've got 3 different sub-factions. He's got the Salamanders. He's got a Dreadsaurian.
So good.
Yeah. And he's still got 148 wounds. Like, yes, 70 of those are skinks, but like skinks are good. I mean, I think the Dreadsaurian is just the fun piece, right? I don't know if it's probably not the best use of 510 points from a competitive standpoint, but it's an amazing model, and that'll be funny because he can still keep that off the board, right, and just drop it down 9 inches away if he wanted to. Although he's got the Starseer, so he's probably going to think of giving it 3d6 charge. He can make it fly as well from the Slan. And then he's still got a Star Priest and a Skink Priest to buff those 40 skinks to do horrific amounts of mortal wounds, and 3 Salamanders you can't ignore. And he's got a Bound Purple Sun as well. So this is strong.
Nice. Stormcast lists.
All right, I think these are the last ones. So we're nearly there. We're nearly there, guys.
So we got Wilso from Goldman Gamers Guild. One of the local boys from down my way. So he's taken Anvils of the Heldenhammer, not a Cities of Sigma. But yeah, it's got a Heraldor, Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger, Lord Celestin, Judicators, Sequitors, Evocators, and Dracolines. He's gone for the Vanguard Raptors, Shoot Cast, and 2 Concussors. So the Wardens of the Storm Keep. I think that's the heroes, isn't
it? Yes. Or is that the new one that's got the Evocators and the Judicators and everything in it? I can't remember by the name if it's the one that sets up anywhere on the board 9 away. I don't think it is. I think that's the Stormkeep Patrol. So yeah, you might be right that it's the 3 heroes in the Wardens of the Wardens of the Stormkeep. Looks like a very mixed arms list by having 5 foot Evos, 3 Dracos, 6 long strikes, the Concussors. They're all cool units. But yeah, it doesn't. I was just about to say
it looks like he's posted half his army.
I was just going to say it doesn't look like a lot, and Joel's just said in the chat that's what 2k points gets you in Stormcast. That's sad. And yeah, it does. They do feel expensive now, don't they? Like stacking them up against other things.
It's like a minimum battle line and then minimum units.
Yeah, you're right. Other than those Vanguard Raptors, it's only 6.
Yeah.
And he is anvil, so we can double shoot them. But even then, it's not like they make 2 shots each, right? They make one. They make 1 shot each. Yeah, it's weird looking at. Yeah, although let's be honest, everyone's going to be running chonky boys soon and just doing loads of mortal wounds from charging and just appearing on the battlefield. So I have faith that Stormcast are getting some good buffs soon.
Wilso's he's fairly newish to the game. Like he came up to Golden Smash. That was his first one-day tournament. So this is a collection of the models he's acquired thus far. So, but yeah. Thanks for your support, Grisso.
I think they're all really cool. They were all really good units when they all came out, and then I think they've all just gone up in points because of that. And just the game has also gone up around them, and they haven't come back down to where they probably should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all cool units, and yeah, it'll be cool to see Chris at an event as a new player. It'll be cool as well. So.
Alrighty. Josh McCluskey. Hammers of Sigmar. All the usual suspects. Got some castigators in there. That's an interesting pick. I don't really see castigators that much, do you?
No, again, it's this weird point where it's like they should be good for 70 points for 3, but then again, they're 1 shot each. I think the issue is just like for the same points.
They don't have a 0.2 wound shooting, do they, Chris? It's something you've spoken about in the past.
Yeah.
And now they've corrected that with the bow snakes, and it feels like they've almost overcorrected it.
Well, because they put them into an army that can shoot them 4 times.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. They're in a bad spot. Castigators are in a bad spot. Hopefully the new book fixes that.
Yeah. It's something I've said to you, I know, before, in terms of pointing. You want to point a shooting unit for number of shots. They've pointed it because they've got 2 wounds and a 4-up save, but you're not using them for that. You want shots from them. So the fact they're only 1 shot each, 6 shots for 140 points that doesn't do more wounds is just categorically bad, versus what you can get now with like bow snakes that do mortals and are 2 shots each and 24-inch range. And it just doesn't stack up, unfortunately, that even though they have come down in points, it still isn't the right level. But if they make them too much cheaper, then just from a pure wounds to armor save efficiency standpoint, they'll then start becoming better than like your liberators, which is supposed to be your core 2 wounds, 4-up reroll ones. They're supposed to be better. So if they keep making castigators cheaper, they just, I don't know what they've done. I don't really know if they can put them at 120, 110 maybe, but even then, we just looked at the last list and went, oh, it's all minimum, and is that all you get? Like the 10 secs there are bigger than minimum, the 10 libs are bigger than minimum, but again, I'm just like, does 10 liberators really do that much? And this then doesn't have it doesn't then have 6 long strikes and stuff like that. So yeah, Stormcast, I think in this kind of mixed arms build are in an odd spot. I think you almost, if you're trying to build competitively for the moment, it does almost feel like you build into the 60 libs in that new battalion where you stack all the saves and just plonk them in the board and hope your opponent can't get through you list, if you're trying to kind of do well, but then that's not fun for anybody. So yeah, hopefully anyway, Josh has a fun weekend, and I'm not expecting to see this list towards the top tables, unfortunately, but hopefully there'll be cool new things to come.
Yeah. Sean Hay coming up for the weekend from Canberra. It's pretty Anvils.
This is a list we've seen.
Yeah.
Which, I think this is multiple events, right? This 1 drop Stormcast with the shooting, the teleporting, just super flexible in terms of being able to control the board and kind of control the pace of the game. This is, I think, the only one drop at the event as well. So he's going to be able to control everything he wants to, and yeah, have all those CP. He's got all the artifacts for everything he wants, but all those long strikes just being natively 2 shots each, that's what they needed for the points. And then obviously taking it in anvil so he can double tap them all as well. It suddenly gives him that 36 shots a turn capability with what obviously 6 is doing mortals, so he should be reliably pumping out 12 mortals when he wants to double shoot all of them, and then plus all the extra damage at Ren 2 from a very long distance away, and then being able to just teleport around the board or fly ether wings around or chaff stuff up as well with the ether wings so that he can't be charged.
So what is it, like 24 inches in the hero phase and then 30 inches
if he hasn't moved
shooting phase? Yeah. So I think a lot of these missions, the diagonal deployments, you can probably protect your relevant stuff from them. I don't know.
The issue is he can just be off the board. He obviously can forgo hero phase, sure, but because he's one drop, he can just be like, okay, you go first, and then he's always on for the double. He can just plonk down a shield with ether wings. And yeah, I think that's the power behind this. It is super flexible. But I think obviously, again, talking about Sean Bates from New Zealand Masters, this is a list he's run at 2.5K, and now he can basically take it at 2. And he's run it at 2, and he was talking about it in terms of New Zealand Masters and why he didn't want to take it, because there's lists out there now, KO, for example, that do what his army does, just better. And his whole army is in 18 wounds. And as soon as he takes any of them, like in terms of his output, as soon as he loses any of those 18 wounds, it just nosedives. And so, it will be interesting to see how Sean goes. But he's done well at Slaughter before with similar lists in terms of teleporting around, using the long strikes, playing in anvils with the prime, I seem to recall last time. So again, it's an army that Sean's been playing for a long time and he's super familiar with. So, and it is a very good list. So again, depending on matchups, and there's a lot of matchups I think it can play into. So I think I'll be expecting, like, this is one I'll be keeping an eye on as well to see up and around the top tables. And I think we're there.
Yeah.
I died about like 55 minutes ago. This is Chris has got a lot of staying power.
I just get enthused talking about Warhammer. I could literally sit here for like another 6 hours and just keep going. You're in lockdown, Smorgan. What else are you doing? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's debilitating and exhausting.
But yeah, I think I'll give James a break. I was just going to say, do you want to talk and thank our sponsors there on that page while we're there? If we want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. For the event, the big one obviously being Battlefront Miniatures in New Zealand. So yeah, I'm super happy to be able to have all of the tables this year fitted out, like fully covered with terrain. That's all pre-painted from Battlefront. They gave us a significant discount to kind of make that achievable this year to do for everyone. So that is a very significant sponsorship this year. And then James, obviously we've got some stuff from Urban Mats and War and Peace as well, haven't we? So
so War and Peace have always every year come to the table to support Sydney Slaughter. No questions asked. They always send a box of sealed GW plastic. So so we've got some goodies from them again this year. Huge shout out and thank you to Company of Dice as well, the guys who are hosting the event for us. So they meet every month out at Padstow RSL. They're probably one of Sydney's, if not Sydney's, biggest and best wargaming community and group. So they play all different games across the board, and they're awesome dudes. And Urban Mats, they've been a big sponsor of ours over the years as well. In times past, we've dropped, we've gotten big orders together. A bunch of people come into the event and they've given us significant discounts and stuff like that. So
we've got some. They've provided some terrain kits and stuff for us to give away this year as well. So All right.
Yeah.
It's late. It's 11:30. Smorgan wants to go to bed. But that's
Yeah.
it.
If you're
We've done the
still
list.
listening, and you're still here, well done. Well done to you, and thank you for hanging around and spending some time with us this evening. It's been great. And Smorg, thanks for coming on, mate. And do you want to quickly plug any YouTube channels that you may or may not be involved with at the moment?
No, I'm good. I'll just say thank you so much for having me. I've loved listening to your cast since before I even played AOS. So you guys are certainly the one of the driving forces. I listened to you guys, and I listened to Heralds of War back in the day. And that got me super keen to jump into the Australian scene. So massively appreciate everything you're doing. I really hope I'm able to make it this weekend, but I'm not particularly hopeful. We're pretty hopeless at managing COVID down here, so we'll just wait and see.
Crossing everything.
It's midnight. Midnight Thursday, you find, is the current one, isn't it?
That's right. So, in which case, I'll be fine. But I expect them to extend it again. But we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. For people out in YouTube land, and we'll see you this weekend. Get pumped.
Yep. And if you haven't registered for the event, make sure you register on Down Under Pairings as well. Everyone needs to be registered so we can do all the rounds.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
Bye.